Yeah. And
good evening, everybody. Welcome. It is time for El Dorado Bronco Baseball from right here in El Dorado. Great to be back on the air with you, Kurt Caden, along with Avery Osen, as the Broncos have a big challenge tonight as they take on Wellington. Avery, it's been 8 days since we've done a Bronco game, and as we are going to say the lineup here in a minute, a lot of different names. Injuries have really taken their toll on this club as they've limped since we've seen them. Good weekend series in Liberal, but they come into play 3-7 and Jayhawk play tonight.
Yeah, but like you said, a big challenge here tonight with the Wellington Heat. But the Broncos, in baseball, your season can change on a dime, and this could really change the momentum of this team with a big win and give the Heat, I believe, their first loss of the season.
Lots to talk about here tonight. Let's get you to the starting lineups for Wellington. They will be at bat first here. They will lead off with Aaron Sipple, the center fielder. David Walker, the left fielder, bats second. Batting third, the first baseman, Tony Piazza. Batting fourth, the DH is Kirk Roca. Batting fifth, the shortstop, Rowdy Andrews. In the sixth hole is Grant Buchanan, the second baseman. Batting seventh, Daniel Bolte, the third baseman. A.J. Shaw plays right field and bats eighth. Paul Richmond will catch and bat ninth. Dan Eck will be on the hill for the Heat tonight.
And in the field tonight for the El Dorado Broncos, starting in left field, Trevor Ezell. His normal home is at third base. Tonight, starting out in left field. At center field, Dylan Muka. Right field, Jacob Spring. At third base, Max Hogan. Shortstop, Antonio Frechette. At second base, Levi Parker. First base, Zach Fields. Catching the ball tonight is Jonathan Schmitz, and he will be catching it from starting pitcher Nick Schumann.
Teams on your video stream look fairly similar with the uniforms tonight. Broncos in the dark jerseys with the orange numerals and white pants. Wellington also in dark jerseys. Their numerals are more kind of a yellow and brown, yellow and purple with gray pants. So we'll keep you up to date on who's doing what, and the first pitch of the game is delivered, and it's fouled off. First pitch time, 6:58, temperature 87 degrees. Beautiful night for baseball in El Dorado, and it's great to be back on the airwaves as it's been, like we said, 8 days since we've been able to cover the Broncos. The 0-1 pitch in there for a strike, and it's 0-2. Last time we saw El Dorado, the Broncos fell to the Derby Twins. The 0-2 pitch, curveball, slow curveball hung up there high, and it's ball 1-2. Nick Schumann starting tonight for the Broncos. And Schumann out of Mesa, Arizona. The 1-2 pitch, hit to left center field and well struck. Back to the wall and on the track. It'll two-hop the fence, and it'll be a leadoff double for Aaron Sipple. Just left that a little too much over the plate at 1-2 there, Avery. Again, Schumann trying to conserve some pitches. Why not? He didn't want to work it full. We've seen that a lot this year, but that one had too much of the plate, and Sipple really reached out. Left-handed batter smacked that well to left center field.
And although Trevor Ezell is used to playing at third base, it didn't matter even there. He was way over his head, and a good way to start the game for the Heat.
Yeah, Ezell didn't get a great jump either. It looked like he was looking in and watching, and not that he would have had a chance anyway. That was hit pretty well. So that brings up David Walker, the left fielder. And he'll start off with ball one. David Walker plays at Grand Canyon University. Bats left and throws left. Looks like about 5'10" there in the box. Schumann's got good size on the hill. The pitch in there for a strike, 1-1. No score. We're in the top half of the first inning. The first visit of the year for Wellington here to El Dorado. Broncos and Heat met up on Tuesday night, and a heartbreaking loss for our Broncos. They lose it 4-3 at Wellington on Tuesday night. The 1-1 pitch, curveball, is tapped foul. It'll be 1-2. The Heat, Avery, as I've been looking at the scores, they won a couple of one-run games out at Hayes, one-run game over Derby last week, one-run game over El Dorado. Good teams do that, though. They win close games, and that's what the Heat have done so far. 1 ball and 2 strikes here for Nick Schumann as he pitches to David Walker. Sipple down at second base with a leadoff double. The pitch from Schumann just outside, 2-2.
I'd figure there with the pitch from Schumann would probably be outside just a little bit just because of what happened to Seipel. The 1-2 pitch left it hanging, and he got a double. So not surprised by that pitch choice there from Schumann.
So at 2-2, where will he go? Will he try to bust him in? No, he'll go outside again, and it's ball 3. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Nick Schumann. Long, lanky left-hander. Takes a look at Sipple down at second base, and the 3-2 is whacked right up the middle, and that'll be a base hit. That will score Sipple, and a quick 1-0 lead for Wellington. And a very nice job of 2-strike hitting by both Sipple and by Walker.
Yeah, both those at-bats, like you said, Schumann's 1 strike away from collecting an out on both of those 2 batters, but 2 good 2-strike hitting there, like you said, from Seipel and Walker, and now Tony Piazza.
Tony Piazza bats third, first baseman. Right-handed batter up there. He goes to school at Regis University. We don't have a ton of other information, and this is our first time seeing these guys, so I haven't been able to do any research on a lot of these Wellington guys. But well, their first 2 hitters have come up swinging the bat. 1-0 Wellington. Schumann's 1-0-1 pitch is hit out to straightaway center field, and camping under that, Dylan Muka. He's got the catch in the first out of the game.
I want to clarify real quick. Tony Piazza. Piazza.
I think that's all right. And, of course, for our Wellington fans that might not have made the trip and might be watching tonight, if you notice some obvious errors, feel free to let us know on our YouTube broadcast there. Right below it says you can write your comments here. Write your comments. We'd love to hear from you. Roca squares the bunt. Schmitz fires down to second. It gets past Levi Parker. And now over to third base is David Walker. So a stolen base and then a error on the throw, and that allows Walker to advance to third base. Schmitz didn't look like he got a good grip on that one, and Roca had squared around. So he was in the way a bit, but perfectly within his right. And that ball skips into the outfield. So down at third base, David Walker, 1-0 Wellington, 1-0 the count to Kirk Roca. R-O-C-H-A. Schumann with the pitch, and it's tapped up the middle. That'll score a run. Frichette's got it. It's got to unload in a hurry, and he didn't get there in time. Not much Frichette could do there, Avery. That was a high chopper. Had to wait for it to come down, and credit Roca for really busting his tail down the line, and no chance for Frichette.
Yeah, there really wasn't. Good play there from Roca. Right out of the box, got a good jump and really forced the pressure. And only 1 out still, and Roca standing on first base.
And that's where that throwing error there, Avery, makes a difference, because Walker would have only advanced to third base. However, with the throwing error, he got over to third base and then scores on that infield single. So 2-0 Wellington. The Heat putting on the heat on the Broncos early on. Rowdy Andrews at the plate for Wellington, and the pitch is outside, ball 1. Rowdy Andrews from Eckerd College. Bats right and throws right for the Heat, as they're extending Nick Schumann here in the top half of the first inning. 2-0 Heat. The pitch, curveball in there for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Broncos, losers last night, 11-6 at Derby, fell behind big early, 8-1, and that's a Derby team that is really putting a lot of runs on the board all of a sudden. Scored 11 in a win over Hayesville Tuesday night. Scored 11 more last night. Schumann's pitch, a slow curve in there for a strike. Schmitz, a perfect strike Down to second, but sliding in safely was Kirk Roca. Nothing wrong with the throw from Schmitz, but Roca picked a great ball to steal on, a slow curve in there. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Rowdy Andrews. Another runner in scoring position for Wellington. Schumann will step off. Sipple started the inning off with a leadoff double. Walker singled him in. Walker then stole second, reached third on an error, and he was driven in by Kirk Roca, who's stolen second base and stands down there with a 1-2 count and fouled away by Rowdy Andrews. The start of a nice little homestand here for the Broncos. Home tonight with Wellington, a weekend series with the Dodge City A's. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. The 1-2 pitch to Andrews. Schumann takes a look at second. Parker vacates, and Schumann will step off the mound. So Roca beating out an infield single and stealing second, showing off his speed here in this first inning, and he's got Nick Schumann concerned. Schumann with the 1-2 pitch, and just ticked foul by Andrews. He was well out in front of a curveball, and he just, as that thing was busting in on his hands, was able to nick it, and he'll stay alive. Nick Schumann, 6'5", 210, from Mesa, Arizona. Goes to Mesa Junior College. Here's the pitch, and again fouled off. So the count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. After 3 games with Dodge City over the weekend, an off day Monday, and then Boulder is in town Tuesday, and Wellington's back here next Wednesday. So Wellington opens and closes this homestand for the Broncos. Curveball hit up the middle. Frechette's got it. Fires over to first, but again, no, not in time to get the hustling Rowdy Andrews. So another infield single for the Heat. And Grant Buchanan, the second baseman, comes to the plate. And here comes a visit to the mound. And certainly Sipple and Walker's hits, I thought, were really solid, Avery. But Roca and Andrews just high pounding balls into the turf to short. Frechette playing deep. And guys running down the line hard have equaled into 2 infield singles for the Heat.
Yeah, they have 2 good hits from them, but the other 2... just plays that it seems like this Heat team has some speed on them. And so that's one thing you're going to have to tame here early. And almost how the Broncos looked the first couple games. Aggressive on the base paths, and they have shown that here on just their hustle from the home plate to first base.
And, you know, when you see guys that are really busting it down the line as an infielder, you almost have to give up some of your depth and play in another step or two. You can't afford to play out towards the outfield grass where you like to play. You have a little more room to figure out where balls are going. Your range is better, but right now, guys are beating down the line, and Frechette doesn't quite have the arm that Morgan Oliver has. Morgan unable to play tonight because of an ejection in last night's game, but we're going to get a chance to visit with him later in the broadcast. 2-0 Wellington. Runners at first and third. Schumann's pitch. Foul. No, it's a strike. Schmitz down to second base, and stealing it barely is Andrews. Another pretty good throw from Schmitz. But now they're going to say batter interference. So, well, now why is they both can't be out. Oh, the runner will go back to first base, and the batter is out. Grant Buchanan is out with interference.
So is that a strikeout then?
I don't think it's a strikeout. It's just an out. Here's a chopping ball down to Hogan at third. He'll go the short way to second to retire the Heat here in the top half of the first inning. A good start for Wellington. They scored twice. They had 4 hits. They were helped by 1 error from the Broncos, and they left 1 man on base. After a half inning, Wellington 2 and El Dorado coming to bat.
Quick reminder, Broncos fans, if you can't make it to these games, you can watch and listen to every home game this season. Kurt Caden and Adrioson are doing play-by-play online. It's free access. Go to www.youtube.com. Search for Kurt Caden with 2 C's. That's CURTCADEN. And subscribe to his channel for free. We will always post a link on El Dorado Broncos Facebook page. The games are also archived, so you can go back and watch any Broncos home game. Again, that's Kurt Cade on YouTube. Kurt Cade with 2 C's. CURTCADEN.
And welcome back to El Dorado. Let's run down the batting lineup for the Broncos. Dylan Muka leads off, plays center. Levi Parker batting second, the second baseman. Jonathan Schmitz, the catcher, bats third. Zach Fields at first base bats fourth. Michael Muka, the DH, fifth. Jacob Spring in right field bats sixth. Trevor Azell, the left fielder, bats seventh. Antonio Frechette at short will bat eighth. And Max Hogan will bat ninth, the third baseman. The first pitch to the leadoff batter, Dylan Muka, is in there for a ball. Avery, what do we got on defense for the Heat?
For the Heat tonight, starting in left field, as we have a wasp swarming into our press box area. Second pitch hit to the shortstop and out number one as Dylan Muka is retired. How about now for the Wellington Heat in left field, David Parker. Center field, Aaron Seipel. In right field, A.J. Shaw. At third base, Daniel Bolt. At shortstop, Rowdy Andrews. At second base, Grant Buchanan. First base is Tony Piazza. And catching tonight, Paul Richmond, and he'll be catching the ball from starting pitcher Dan Eck.
And the first pitch from Eck to Parker is a strike. No balls and one strike. Second pitch is in there as well. So we're saying Seipel or Sipple? I've been saying Sipple. We'll go with Seipel.
Seipel? If we're saying it wrong and someone knows how to say it correctly, please let us know.
Feel free to let us know on our YouTube page. Nice 0-2 pitch there from Dan Eck, just off the outside corner. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Levi Parker. Parker, left-handed batter. And Eck delivers, and Parker hits one out to second base, and it's fielded, thrown over to first. For the out, Grant Buchanan retiring Levi Parker, a pair of second basemen there. So here comes Jonathan Schmitz, catcher from Tarleton State University. And Schmitz has seen his average drop since the last time we saw him. We're down to 306 right now, but still a good average. His on-base percentage is .414 on the season. And the pitch from Eck to Schmitz is in there for a strike. Dan Eck is coming out firing strikes here for Wellington. Dan Eck plays his college ball in the Kansas Collegiate Athletic Conference at Bethany up in Lindsborg. And an off-speed 0-1 pitch is in there for a strike, and quickly 0-2 to Schmitz. Zach Fields would be next for the Broncos. 2-0 Wellington. We're in the bottom of the first inning. 2 runs and 4 hits for the Heat in that top half of this inning. The 0-2 just high and outside. Ball 1.
And looking down the Wellington Heat roster, lots of players from the KCAC, better known here in Kansas. And, man, that's one conference that had a very good year from top to bottom.
Of course, Tabor College went a long way in the World Series. Kirk Roca is from Tabor College. There's a handful from Friends University. For those of you that don't know, Friends University is located in Wichita, just a short ways from here in El Dorado. Not too far from Wellington either. They've got some Jayhawk Conference junior college players from Cowley and from Colby, and some names that you recognize from the junior college ranks. So I'm sure it's quite a game for these general managers to put these teams together. A lot of good players out there trying to find the right mix. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Schmitz. The pitch from Eck is just low, ball 3.
You know what? It's kind of, I would kind of think it would be like is kind of like for the All-Star game for like the MLB is you can't really go with a bad choice. You know, there's so many good players in this league. Any of them can produce on any night.
The 3-2 pitch to Schmitz, tapped down to third base and fielded down there by Bolte. He whips it over to first base to retire Schmitz. Very efficient 1-2-3 inning for Dan Eck. We're through one inning of play from El Dorado. Wellington 2, Broncos 0. More play-by-play in a moment. You're listening and watching to El Dorado Bronco Baseball on YouTube. And welcome back to El Dorado. The Heat lead 2-0, and Avery injuries. Of course, all teams have their years. Every team usually suffers some, but for the Broncos, boy, it seems like every time we start to get to know a player, an injury. Brandon Cuddy looks like he is done for the year. Clayton Dalrymple is injured. He looks like he's out for the year. Landon Bush is going to have surgery. We don't know how long he'll be out. A rash of injuries for Coach Chad Gerwick and his squad.
Well, it's one of those things, a week or two ago when these players did get injured, Schumann delivers strike one. It was one of those things you're kind of like, okay, we'll give them a break over the weekend and they'll be back. But as it turns out, these injuries are turning into being a little bit more serious than maybe first thought, at least from us. Brandon Cuddy, just on a play, just got a little collision. I say a little collision. I wasn't in it, obviously. But a collision at first base, and he's out for the summer. Dalrymple, I believe, was hit with a pitch
when he was squaring to bunt.
When he was squaring to bunt. So this is just one of those sports.
As A.J. Shaw lined one right back to Nick Schumann, and I'll tell you what, he was ready for it and made a nice catch. I would think as a pitcher, Avery, those are, as pitchers, they continue to throw the ball harder and harder, and the batters are stronger and stronger, and that ball comes off the bat. Wooden or aluminum doesn't really matter. It's coming back at you. And, boy, it's good to see Nick Schumann able to get in good fielding position and make that play.
When you think it's hard for a batter to bat, think about that ball coming even faster than the pitcher is pitching it, because off that bat, pitcher has very little time to react, and right there I think Schumann just put his glove somewhere, and luckily it landed in it.
So that brings up the number 9 batter, the catcher, Paul Richmond, and he looked at ball 1 and ball 2. He's ahead in the count. Here's Schumann's 2-0 pitch, a curveball in there for a strike, and that is not what Richmond was expecting on 2-0. So that makes it 2 balls and 1 strike. Richmond from the University of Missouri at St. Louis, and he'll foul one down the right field line into the Heat bullpen, and that makes it count 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I think the community of El Dorado is happy to see their Broncos back here at McDonald Stadium. A good outing, good showing here of Bronco faithful.
Yeah, great crowd here tonight. And Richmond misses on strike 3. Schmitz will have to retire him down at first base, and he does. And there's 2 away. That'll bring back the top of the order, Aaron Seipel. Now, Bill's saying Sipple. Where should we go with Bill? What does JD say? It is Seipel? JD says Seipel. All right. Seipel looks at strike 1. I was going with Sipple. I was with Bill. No balls and a strike. Seipel fouls off, and like that, it's 0-2. Seipel got down in the count 1-2, you might remember last inning, and then rocketed one into left center field for a leadoff double. He would later score on a David Walker single. No balls and 2 strikes. Schumann winds and deals. The pitch is whacked foul into the Bronco bullpen. So Aaron Seipel protecting. Is in the hole, 0-2. The Broncos will have Fields, Michael Muka, and Jacob Spring up in the bottom of this inning. And Jonathan Schmidt stands up, wanted Schumann to throw it high. He did, and Seipel didn't offer. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Quickly, Schumann to the plate, jammed Seipel, out to Frechette, takes a few steps, fires, and just does get Seipel at first base. So a very good second inning for Nick Schumann and the Broncos. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. We're through 1.5. Heat 2, Broncos 0. The bottom of the second is coming your way in just a moment here on YouTube.
Leading off this inning for the Broncos out of Central Michigan, your first baseman, number.
And welcome back to El Dorado.
Field.
And Avery, we've had our first comment tonight. What do we got?
Courtney Rocha.
Rocha, like the bug.
Rocha, like the bug. Thank you for that example. That's perfect. So Courtney Rocha is listening as Zach Field flies one out to left field. And it is brought down by David Walker, and 1 out here in the bottom of the second. But she says, "I'm listening and watching from California tonight." And I clicking Rocha from Tabor College. He's the guy that I'm sure helped that team make it far into the NAIA tournament. So a good player. Already, we know.
And, you know, she mentioned someone moved the camera. Well, that was me as I was making sure because we use Avery's computer here, and his battery is paper thin as far as its life, and so your plug-in was out, and so I plugged it back in, but I did slightly move the computer. Well, she couldn't see third base, so I'm glad she told me because I've readjusted it, so hopefully you can see third base now. And thanks so much for the comment, and feel free to comment throughout the night if you like.
And that's awesome. That's what we appreciate, is letting us know little things like that we wouldn't have ever noticed.
So as we're talking about, is it Jeannie Rocha? Courtney Rocha. Thank you, Courtney, for that message. 2 balls and 1 strike for Dan Eck. And the pitch is hit, struck well by Michael Muka to right center field, off the scoreboard and gone. Michael Muka, a home run to right center field, and that'll trim the deficit in half. 2-1, Wellington.
And no doubter there from Michael Muka, the designated hitter, as the outfielders hardly moved as that ball flew over the fence. Cuts the deficit in half, and 2-1.
Michael Muka with the delivery there from Wichita State University by way of Aurora, Colorado. What a job by him there. And I want to check Muka, but Jacob Spring steps in here for the first pitch from Dan Eck, and it's in there for a strike. Michael Muka, that is his second home run of the season. And Just getting under that one was Spring as it sails out to center field, and Seipel is underneath it for the catch and the second out of the inning. And that'll bring up Trevor Ezell. Tell you what, Trevor Ezell for Coach Chad Gerwick is one of those guys that you got to love to have. We've seen Ezell pitch. We've seen him play a lot of third base. And we've seen him a couple times out in left field. He's a guy that runs the bases. He plays the game one way. It's hard. He goes fast all the time. And he's up at the plate with 2 outs here in the bottom of the second inning, and it's 2-1 Wellington.
One of those utility players that Chad Gerwick, I'm sure, is comfortable putting about anywhere on the diamond.
We've seen him do it. Here's a pitch tapped into the turf, foul, and it's strike one. Ball one, strike one. Wellington will bring up 2, 3, 4 in the top of the third. Walker, Piazza, and Rocha. Trevor Ezell looking to extend the bottom of the second inning. 2-1 our score in favor of the Heat. The undefeated Heat. And the pitch outside, ball 2. Dan Eck from Bethany College, he goes from the stretch as if there was a runner on base. No windup for Dan Eck. The pitch, and Ezell hits it out to shortstop off one hop. Unable to field it is Andrews, and that should be a base hit for Ezell, and it is. So Trevor Ezell with the hit. And that'll extend the inning for Antonio Frechette. Sharp single to shortstop. Tough chance there for Andrews, and even if he gets it, he was down on a couple of knees. I'm not sure if he would have been able to get up and throw at Ezell anyway. Trevor down at first base, and the first pitch to Frechette is a strike. Antonio Frechette. He is from San Mateo, California, and he goes to college at Northwestern. I think that's Northwestern of Iowa he goes to. Fouls off the 0-1 delivery, so he's in a hole, 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes. Trevor Ezell down at first base. Antonio Frechette at the plate, the number 8 hitter for the Broncos here tonight. Right-handed stick, and the pitch from Eck bounced in there, trying to get Ezell down at first, and he's able to get back. Say, nice scoop down there at first base by Piazza. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 away. We're in the bottom of the second inning. Warm evening here in El Dorado. And the pitch to Frechette, and he'll foul it off. There was all week they've been saying rain on Thursday. It's going to rain Thursday night, and it could, but they said once you get past 7 o'clock, the chances are going to really drop off. We've got some light cloud cover, which actually helps our video. There aren't the shadows on our video stream, and so actually this is about ideal. With just enough cloud cover, really it doesn't look like any threat of rain, and we haven't checked our radar yet. But just a nice, warm summer evening of baseball here in beautiful McDonald Stadium in El Dorado, Kansas. Frechette steps out of the box. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Trevor Ezell down at first base, getting the second hit of the game for El Dorado. And again, in the 5th inning, we're going to visit with Morgan Oliver from Central Michigan. Unable to play tonight. So he can't even be in the dugout either, so thought we'd see if he could come here. Ezell stealing on the 2-2 pitch, and he'll steal it. And Frechette has got a full count. So El Dorado is just a clutch 2-out base hit away from tying this game. Dan Eck on the hill for the Heat. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Frechette. Good hole between first and second. Eck's pitch, and Frechette was looking that way. He fouls it out of play. Good at bat here from Antonio Frechette. .511, 180 is Frechette. Here's the 3-2 from Eck, and it hit him. So a great battle there from Frechette and Eck. I don't think any intent. That looked like a curveball that just didn't take to it and got him on the shoulder. And that will bring up Max Hogan. And I believe Max Hogan's dad is in the crowd tonight. He has emailed us, has commented, and I saw that he was going to be in the area last night for the game at Derby. And I believe he's here tonight, although we haven't seen him. First and second, Max takes a look at a high fastball for ball one. Dylan Muka would be next for the Broncos. The inning started off with a Zach Fields fly ball out to left field, but then a Michael Muka rocket out to right center field for a home run. Spring flew out to center, then a single from Azell. Frechette was hit by a pitch, so the Broncos with first and second, 2 away in the bottom of the second. Azell at second, Frechette at first. The pitch to Hogan's curveball in there for a strike, 1 ball and 1 strike. Saw Doug Bell had the grill going. Just a beautiful night and beautiful smells at the ballpark tonight. Something about when you go to a game and you just smell the burgers on the grill.
Smells different than you would at home.
It does. 2 balls and a strike to Max Hogan. And the pitch from Eck, high in ball 3. Max Hogan batting just 180 on the season for the Broncos, but he's way ahead here. 3 balls and 1 strike. Out of Belton, Texas is Max Hogan. Here is the pitch, and a swing and a miss, strike 2. So a full count. The runners will be going. If Hogan could gap one here, Avery, you would think Frechette would have a good chance at scoring because he'll be on the move here on this 3-2 pitch. With 2 away, 2-1 Wellington in the bottom of the second inning. Eck, he is set, and he'll deal with the full count, and he'll be rung up. Across the knees for strike 3. But a good inning for the Broncos. 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, 2 left. We're through 2 innings. Heat 2, Broncos 1. More play-by-play in a moment. You're watching and listening to Bronco Baseball on YouTube.
Is 645-713. 645-713. The next ticket is 645-769. 645-769. And the final ticket this inning is 645-728. 645-728. When those your tickets get out, wait till I run over and see Bart will show you something. I'm not quite sure what. 645-728, 769, and 713 are the city's numbers.
And welcome back to El Dorado. A couple of teams that know each other pretty well. It was Wellington that knocked out El Dorado in the NBC World Series. The Broncos finishing 3rd. Wellington would end up finishing 2nd at the NBC World Series. It's Wellington 2, El Dorado 1, and we'll send it over to my partner, Avery Ocean.
2-3-4 hole coming up for the Wellington Heat, starting off with the number 2 batter, David Walker. First pitch from Schumann in there, strike 1. 2-1 Heat. Walker scored back in the 2nd inning. Had a single, a stolen base, got over to 3rd on the stolen bases. He chops one to the right side, and 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tony Piazza will follow David Walker in the batter's box. 1-2 pitch. Swung on right over the second baseman's head, which is Levi Parker, and it's going to roll to the fence. Walker around second. He's going to try to make it 3.
slides into third, and he's there. And a leadoff triple to start this top of the third inning.
Number 11, Tony Piazza.
Tony Piazza
Now batting flied out to center field in the first inning, as Jonathan Schmitz would like to tell Nick Schumann something at the mound. Now Schmitz will give a sign to the rest of the players in the field. With Parker on third, no outs. First pitch from Schumann in there. It's the outside part of the strike zone, and strike one. Broncos got their run off a Michael Muka home run. Pitch swung on to center field. It could drop, and a great diving catch from Dylan Muka, but a run will score and a sacrifice fly from Tony Piazza. So he'll get an RBI off that. And the Heat lead 3-1. Kirk Rocha now batting for the Heat. He had a single and a stolen base in his first at bat back in the first inning. First pitch from Schumann in there, and strike one. One out here in the top of the third. Next pitch from Nick. Swung on, chopped right back to him. He's going to toss it over to Zach Fields at first base, and two down here in the top of the third. Rowdy Andrews, the shortstop, stepping into the right-handed batter's box. He had a single in the first inning. First pitch from Schumann, barely missed inside, ball one. Next pitch from him, also inside, 2-0. Two-0 pitch, two outs, top of the third. Next pitch from Schumann. In there, strike one. Rocha didn't want to commit all the way. 2-1 pitch. Good curveball in there. Evens up the count at 2-2. Broncos will send up the top of the order as in the bottom of the third. 2-2 pitch. Swung on, fouled to the left side into the Broncos dugout. Two-two pitch. Swung on and missed as Schmitz tags Andrews as the ball popped out of his glove, made sure he couldn't get anywhere, and that'll retire the Heat here in the top of the third inning. 1-2-3 batters coming up for the Broncos as the Heat lead 3-1. More El Dorado Broncos baseball coming up here on YouTube.
Leading off this inning for your El Dorado Broncos, your center fielder, number 4, Dylan Muka.
Wellington Heat lead here in the bottom of the third, 3-1, as the center fielder for the Broncos, Dylan Muka, stands in the left-handed batter's box, and we're ready to go in the bottom of the third.
Dan Eck back out for another inning's work. First pitch from him. In there, they're going to not give him that call, just a bit outside. And 1-0. Looks pretty good from up here. 1-0 pitch. That'll find the strike zone, 1-1. One pitch. Swung on and it hits the pitcher. It deflects off him. Muka will be at first. But more importantly, we'll see if Dan Eck is okay. He appears to be walking fine. It looked like maybe got him on his pitching shoulder. Shrugs his shoulder out a little bit, and the Heat head coach will make his way to the mound and see if he's okay. He's really trying to shake out that arm. It's a pretty good shot right back to the pitcher from Dylan Muka on a line drive. I've been wanting to ask Kurt this. I'm wanting an answer maybe next inning or so. As you look at the Wellington Heat colors, they're kind of a maroon and almost like a gold. Have you seen anybody, any pro team, any amateur team that would look like that? Maybe like you said, the Derby Twins. They got kind of similar colors, but I can't really compare them to any major league team that I can think of, or any other professional sports team. Yeah, that's Arizona State. Maybe it would be the closest comparison. As Dan Eck will take some throws, see if he's okay, and looks like he'll probably be able to stay in the game.
3 tickets for $1, 10 for $2. Your chance to win a little money and help support the Broncos organization.
Don't forget, top of the 5th inning, we'll be talking with Broncos shortstop Morgan Oliver. Get his thoughts, I think, if I'm right, Central Michigan. Yeah, it comes from Central Michigan. Solana Beach, California. I think he was the one we were mentioning. He's kind of been all over the United States playing his baseball. California to Michigan to Kansas. So we'll get a chance to talk with him in the top of the 5th. You don't want to miss that. Right now, the Heat lead 3-1. The bottom of the 3rd inning, Dylan Muka on first. And Levi Parker, the second baseman, up for the Broncos. He swings and fouls one behind. Hits the screen, and strike 1. Levi grounded out to his counterpart at second base. Back in the 1st. 0-1 pitch outside, 1-1. One pitch, swung on to third base. A good play from Daniel Bolt. And that'll advance Dylan Muka to second.
Now at the plate, your catcher, number 24.
And now Jonathan Schmidt. Jonathan rounded out to the shortstop back in the 1st. Dylan Muka about a 3 or 4 step lead on second base as Schmitz puts his hands up, calls for time. First pitch to Schmitz. Swung on in the gap between center and left field. It drops, and it'll roll to the fence. Around comes Muka to score. Jonathan Schmitz has himself an RBI stand-up double. And the Broncos respond to the Heat's run back in the top of the 3rd and put one up of their own and look to do more damage as Zach Fields The powerful first baseman steps into the right-handed batter's box. Down by 1. First pitch to Fields, low, good stop from Paul Richmond, the catcher for the Heat, and 1-0. Michael Muka standing in the on-deck circle. Pitch inside to Fields, and 2-0. It's probably about the last thing you want to do as a pitcher is get behind against a good pitcher, or a good batter, like Zach Fields. 2-0 pitch. Swung on and missed. 2-1. Don't know if that was the pitch that Zach would, if he had a second chance, would swing at again. A little low and inside. 2-1. Swung on and chopped foul. And 2-2. One out. Schmitz on second. 2-2 pitch. Swung on, and Zach just a little bit ahead of that pitch. And another foul ball. Two-two pitch. A little low. 3-2. Pitch to Fields, and it hits him. So for the second straight inning, Dan Eck has hit a batter at 3-2.
Now the plate your designated hitter, number 8, Michael Muka.
And the umpire made sure to kind of jog out between the catcher's position and the pitcher right after he hit Fields. I don't think anything would have came about that. It was on a 3-2 pitch, but just to make sure, I think it was just a pitch he lost control of, as we're going to have a mound visit, and it looks like maybe a whole infield visit here in the bottom of the third. Broncos brewing something up. Guys on first and second with 1 out, and we're going to have a pitching change here at McDonald Stadium. We'll get the new pitcher and see if the Broncos can capitalize on an advantage here in the bottom of the third. More El Dorado Broncos baseball coming up here from El Dorado.
All right, Broncos fans, again, a reminder, players are walking around selling 50-50 tickets. These are chances for a drawing that we'll have at the end of the game, or towards the end of the game, the 8th inning. And you have a chance to win half of the total amount raised during this process. So 3 tickets for $1 or 10 for $2. Dig deep, grab some money out. We'll see how much money you can raise for the Broncos organization tonight. Now pitching for the Wellington Heat, number 23.
That's right,
Jenkins.
We weren't allowed, but yeah, we throw it out there.
Hey, while we're warming up our pitcher, the pitcher here, we've got 3 more red tickets. Get your red tickets out. There's some more prizes from Holly Frontier. All these ticket numbers start at 645. 645. So if you got 645, get your tickets out. The last 3, 696. 645, 696, 791, and 659. That's 645, 696, 645, 791, 645, 659. You've got the winning ticket. Come down here in front of the booth and see Barb, and she'll give you some fun prizes. All thanks to Holly Frontier. Thank you.
Wellington Heat make a pitching change. A new pitcher in for the Heat is Brady Bowen.
Number 8, Michael Muka.
From Friends University in Wichita. And Bowen will have a test right off the start here as he will face the number 5 hole batter, Michael Muka. First pitch, it's a good one, and strike one is Michael Muka just last inning had a solo shot off the scoreboard. 0-1 pitch, hits the corner, 0-2. So Bowen gets ahead right away. Fields on first, Schmitz on second. 0-2 pitch, swung on and missed. 3 pitches, 3 strikes, 1 out for Bowen, and 2 outs in the inning.
He did. We did. Barb is sitting right down here, right in front of the window here.
1-0 pitch here to Jacob Spring. Swung on to the right field, and it is going to be brought down by A.J. Shaw. And so the Heat get out of a jam in the bottom of the third, but the Broncos still put up 1 run. Heat 3, Broncos 2. More El Dorado Bronco baseball coming up. Top of the 4th inning from El Dorado here on YouTube.
I see that the Broncos players still have some tickets in their hands for the 50-50 drawing. Get your money out, spend every penny of it. Support the Broncos organization. And don't worry, if they run out of tickets, I'm sure they've got some more rolls back there. Nikki's got some more rolls of tickets. So get your money out, Nikki. 3 tickets for $1, 10 for $2.
I think that's 33 for that. If he's a lefty in the program, 33 is a lefty, 23 is a righty. I don't know. Let's double check when I come back.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It was lefty, wasn't he?
Nick Schumann back out for the Broncos as the Heat hold a 1-run advantage here in the top of the 4th inning. And Grant Buchanan, the second baseman, steps into the box and strike 1. Next pitch from Nick. Swung on, and it is a base hit up the middle. That'll bring up Daniel Bolt. Who is the third baseman. Grounded into a fielder's choice, which ended the 1st inning. First pitch is bunted down the third base line. Schumann picks it up, throws it over the field at first, and a good play to get Bolt. So Schumann shows off his arm. Those are always underrated plays, I think. You have to run up, grab the ball, set your feet, make a good, accurate throw, and it all has to be before the runner gets to first base. And then good play there from Nick Schumann. But Grant Buchanan still on second base with 1 out, and A.J. Shaw, who asks for time and is granted. First pitch Outside, ball 1.
That sacrifice by Daniel Bolt was really well done. Hogan was not really thinking the bunt was coming. He was not playing up, and that bunt was down the third base line. Schumann was the only one who had a chance, and it was a tremendous play by Nick Schumann.
1-0 pitch. Good curveball from Schumann. Evens up the count at 1-1. A.J. Shaw, who played his college ball this past season at Cali County Community College down in Arc City. 1-1 pitch. Outside, 2-1.
And you mentioned you get to see him this year. He was batting leadoff for the Tigers, who were a pretty good baseball team in the Jayhawk. And again, just kind of shows you the depth and how much talent is here in this Jayhawk Summer Baseball League.
Yeah, really, if you get him on the base path, it's going to be track meet.
And what a weapon to bat 8th. I mean, that tells you that this Wellington Heat, I mean, they're undefeated. If you have guys of the quality of A.J. Shaw batting 8th, that tells you that they're pretty stacked.
And I think that shows with the Broncos, even with Morgan Oliver, putting him in the 9th spot. You know, you'd think maybe the pitcher maybe let up at the 8 and 9 hole hitters, but you had to do about the exact opposite when Morgan Oliver's batting there. And like you said, just shows the depth of a lot of these Jayhawk Conference teams. Fouled off by A.J. Shaw. He was mainly played center field down for the Tigers. But yeah, like Kurt said, batted lead off and really has some good speed to him. Hopefully we don't get to see that tonight. 2-2 pitch from Nick Schumann. Off speed. Flying out to left field. Tracking it down is Azell. He comes down with it. And he'll fire it into Max Hogan at third and no advance. So a big out there from Schumann. 2 down here in the top of the 4th.
And after Azell made that catch out there, banged into the fence a little bit, Avery, and then fired a strike to third. Not that Buchanan was really thinking about going, but if he had any thoughts in his head, Azell put him out of his head pretty quickly.
Catcher Paul Richmond now batting, who struck out in the 2nd inning. 2 outs. First pitch gets the inside corner.
A little bit of a delayed call there from the home plate umpire, but a strike nonetheless.
0-1. Pitch. Just a bit outside. 1-1. Two outs here in the top of the 4th with Grant Buchanan on second base. 1-1 pitch. And the umpire will call time. And Schumann was just about to release that ball. He held onto it. A lot of times you see the pitcher throw it to the catcher anyways. Sometimes you get some injuries whenever hold onto the ball like Schumann did there, but not a whole lot of choice as everyone really backed out of the box. 1-1 pitch. Another good pitch to the inside of Richmond, and Schumann gets ahead at 1-2. Three-two Heat. Big gap between first and second. If Richmond can hit one over there as the ball is pitched into the turf, 2-2.
You know, it's amazing when you watch a Major League game. Every time the ball barely skims the ground, they throw it out of play and get a new baseball. You imagine, I mean, your teams at this level, you just never couldn't afford it. You wouldn't have enough baseballs.
2-2. 2 outs. Pitch swung on and missed. And a good job there from Schumann to avoid a little trouble there in the top of the 4th. Wellington Heat 3, El Dorado Broncos 2. More Broncos baseball from McDonald Stadium coming up here on YouTube.
All right, the Broncos players are right up here below the announcer doing the outside tickets. It looks like they still have 1 or 2 tickets left to sell. So you better get your money out and yell at them so that you don't miss your chance to spend some money tonight. 3 tickets for $1, 10 for $2. Your chance to help support the Broncos program. You know, they budgeted the Broncos program budget's about $6,000 a year for baseballs. Which reminds me to tell you that all foul balls hit out of play and still remain the property of the El Dorado Broncos. So please retrieve those balls hit out of play and return them to the El Dorado Broncos concession stand downstairs, and they'll give you a treat.
Brady Bowen back out to pitch the bottom of the 4th, here at McDonald Stadium in El Dorado. The Broncos bring up the 7, 8, 9 hole batters: Trevor Ezell, Antonio Frisquet, and Max Hogan.
I was going to say, we had Antonio's foster folks come up here and tell Bill, our PA guy, it's Frisquet, not Frisquet. We were saying Frischette. It's Frisquet. So I apologize for that.
First pitch in there, and strike 1 to Antonio.
To Trevor.
Trevor Ezell, Next pitch, low, 1-1. Ezell had a single in the 2nd inning and had a stolen base. Didn't end up scoring. It was the next pitch in there, and strike 2.
Avery, the book is in on Dan Eck. He goes 2 1/3 innings tonight for Wellington. Gave up 4 hits, hit 2 batters, and 2 earned runs. 1 strikeout for Eck tonight. But I think that line drive off the shoulder may have been more of a problem than we probably realized up here, because he didn't quite look like the same pitcher.
Next pitch, high. Makes the count full, 3-2. 3-2 pitch. Swung on and fouled. Line drive out of the stadium. Keeps the count at 3-2. Next pitch from Bowen. Grounded second base. Good throw over to first. Buchanan to Piazza. And 1 out.
Your shortstop, Antonio.
And now, how about Antonio Frisquet? First pitch to Antonio. In there, strike 1. Bowen, what I noticed last inning too, he really gets ahead of the hitters. 0-1 pitch, swung on, grounded right back to him. Good play from him. He tosses it over to Piazza, and 2 outs.
You know, just watching this Bowen here, is he's now gone an inning and a third. He is much like a lot of the El Dorado pitchers and a lot of pitchers we've seen in the Jayhawk this year. They are ready to go. He's long and lanky. He fields his position well. He's got a lot of athleticism to him out there. And again, like I said, there he is, strike 1. He just pounds the strike zone.
2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. 0-1 pitch. Swung on, and a base hit from Max Hogan.
A much-needed hit, Avery. Coming into this game, batting 180, you know that's got to feel good. We know he's a good hitter. He got to hit his first pitch he saw with El Dorado. He's been in a slump, so maybe that can get him going.
Dylan Muka now up to bat. He's 1 for 2 tonight. He scored just last inning. First pitch to him, swung on and fouled.
Maybe having Dad in the crowd, too, helps a little bit.
Max Hogan on first. 0-1 pitch. Just misses off the plate. 1-1.
3-2 here in favor of the Heat. Good ball game between these two teams who played to a 4-3 game just 2 nights ago, which was won by Wellington at Wellington.
1-1 pitch. In there, strike 2.
And, I'm sure, Avery, the names have changed. We didn't cover the Broncos last year, but, folks know Wellington and El Dorado. They've got, regionally fairly close. They made it to both in the World Series last year. They battle for second and third place, won by Wellington, but teams that know each other.
Hogan runs, but it doesn't matter as Dylan Muka strikes out, and that'll end this 4th inning with the Heat holding a slight advantage, 3-2. A real treat coming up. Morgan Oliver. We'll be speaking with him here as we head into the top of the 5th. Heat 3, Broncos 2. More El Dorado Bronco baseball here from McDonald Stadium coming up on YouTube.
And I dig the Chippewas hat. That's excellent. We got every college football helmet in our face net, and the Chippewas is one that we dig. I'll put you on that headset there.
Now pitching for the El Dorado Broncos out of Tarleton State, number 34, Wade Adams.
New pitcher for the El Dorado Broncos is Quade Adams from Tarleton State as he tries to hold the Heat down here as the Broncos trail 3-2. And Kurt, how about Morgan Oliver up here in the press box with the, like you said, the Chippewas hat?
Yeah, he's quickly become one of our favorites here right from the get-go because, well, I wasn't a very good hitter. I always had to either bat ninth or I was DH for, and so I always like seeing who's batting eighth, who's batting ninth. Well, you bat ninth, Morgan, and you have been clutch all year in that 9 spot. Then you got moved up and didn't have as many hits. You can go back down to the 9 side and you're hitting again. First off, thanks for joining us here.
Thank you for having me.
What do you have a preference in the order where you like to hit?
Pretty much anywhere in the order, just as long as I'm in the lineup and helping out the team somehow. So.
And unable to play tonight, which is it frustrating to be up here and not being able to be out there?
Yeah, it's really depressing actually, just sitting in the stands and just hoping your team will excel against the Heat. So.
We're going to have Morgan up here. I think we might keep him up here for the whole inning even. I've got a lot of stuff to ask Morgan. 1 ball, no strikes. Quade Adams is the new pitcher for El Dorado as Nick Schumann goes 4 innings tonight, gives up 6 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned, and 3 strikeouts for Schumann. Adams with a 2-0 count now against the leadoff man, Aaron Seipel, for Wellington. The pitch in there for a strike. This Broncos squad got off to a great start, Morgan, and we've seen guys go down with injuries. It hasn't been dire times, but tough times. You guys are now 3-7 in the league. Tell us what's going on with this squad this season. What's positive? What do you guys need to work on?
There really is nothing to work on. It's just more of a motivation to come out to the ball field every single day and expecting to win. I think it's tough to be down early. It just feels like, I don't know, maybe we might not have a chance. It's just having the positive attitude throughout all 9 innings.
And course, we only do the home games. Last week against Derby, you guys got down with maybe the worst inning. You guys have had 4 errors in that inning, and you got down early, and it just seemed kind of lifeless after that. Against Derby again last night, fell behind 8-1, and you guys did battle back to make it 11-6. But good starts are important, aren't they?
Yes, yeah.
What has it been the defense? We haven't seen you guys for 7 days. Offense, defense?
It's kind of everything. Just if one part of our offense or defense is clicking, the other one won't, So usually the pitching has been really good. Offense, we've had chances, but we haven't been able to capitalize where pitching, maybe we would not do so hot pitching, then our hitting would do well, and regain the lead. But I mean,
early in the year, the first 7-8 games, of course, all your road games seemed either no umpires or you're rained out. You guys had an excellent start, and you were winning a lot of those close games. And baseball's that way. I mean, it's flip-flopped a little bit, and you guys are losing some tough ones, including a 4-3 decision to these Heat on Tuesday night.
Yeah, and especially with the Heat on Tuesday night, it was a really good game. Just tough atmosphere playing for at their place, and just really rowdy fans. But you know what? It was more of the process and the time. It was a lot of fun to play against a lot of rowdy people, and it's just kind of proved them that
it's a different.
Broncos.
I've heard it's a different setting there.
It's
than
a different
maybe anywhere
atmosphere.
else.
Yep, definitely.
David Walker just went down swinging, and again, being able to watch this, so kind of like when they do it on TV, you can see what's going on while Morgan and I are talking here. Tony Piazza, the first baseman, comes up. Quade Adams has retired the first 2 batters here in the 5th inning, and he's going to retire Piazza as well. Fly ball out to Jacob Spring. He'll camp under it. And an easy 1-2-3 inning for Quade Adams. And we're halfway through, and it's 3-2 in favor of Wellington. We'll just keep jabbering here with Mr. Oliver as the Broncos get ready to come up to bat with Parker, Schmitz, and Fields. Injuries. Dalrymple goes down with a finger. Brandon Cuddy goes down. I hear Landon Bush had to have a surgery. A lot of players, though. But do you guys start getting that mentality, like maybe it's not our year with some of the injuries you're getting, or is it just another opportunity for someone else?
It's just kind of unlucky times. We've always been playing baseball, especially at school. We don't take any breaks. It's baseball now in college is more of a job opportunity. You're pretty much filling out your own resume in college, hoping that you would play after college. It's pretty much every other player or kid's dream. Just playing for their favorite team and stuff like that.
Yeah, the college schedule is such a grind. I mean, you guys start. Tell me what the ordinary season. When do you start doing workouts? Games usually start in February, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we started our season at Central Michigan middle of February, so around February 14th, around Valentine's Day. But the tough thing with that is that we traveled to UNLV, which is really, really warm compared to Michigan.
In February?
In February, that's right, yeah. And we always had to practice indoors, and we always had to use all these balls that were all black from the AstroTurf and stuff like that. So it's really tough coming from indoors to outdoors. But, just traveling around and being able to get out of Michigan to go to all these warm areas, it's a blast.
Now, Avery and I get it. We like, we like seeing the hometowns and whatnot. Your hometown is San Diego,
Solana Beach.
Solana Beach.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that just sounds awesome. But you go to college in Central Michigan. Now, I'm a Wisconsinner.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I know it's brutal up there, and it's been brutal. It was a brutal winter this year.
Yeah.
And now you're playing your summer ball in Kansas. I mean, you're West Coast, Northern, Midwest. Do you have a preference? And tell me how did you go to Central Michigan, and how did you end up in El Dorado for the summer?
I was the oldest in my family, and I wanted to leave home and just worry about myself,
Leave San Diego.
Leave San Diego, yep. I wanted to go to the Midwest. Attaboy, John.
Jonathan Schmitz here. We'll get back to Morgan in a second. Line drive to left center field, and Jonathan Schmitz is going to have another double as he had an RBI double back in the 3rd inning. He stands down at second base. Continue on, though. So you're leaving. You wanted to get out.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to get out. and I was getting recruited by Purdue. Unfortunately, they didn't give me enough money, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna continue looking. And all of a sudden, a week later, I get a email from Central Michigan. I go, God, who is Central Michigan? You know, I'd never even heard of them.
Did you know they were the Chippewas?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, I saw Chippewas. I go, God, that doesn't sound right at all. But you know what? I ended up going on their website. I was really, really impressed. Ended up going on a visit there. Loved the school. It was, oh God, it was so nice. Small school, you know, with a lot of people at it, and that's pretty much the school that I wanted to go to, and pretty much kind of start my life over again.
So, how many years have you been in Central Michigan now?
I just finished up my sophomore year.
Okay, 2 years there. And now, how do you get to El Dorado? How long have you been playing for the Broncos then?
I've been playing for the Broncos start of this summer.
Okay.
You know, I asked my coach. I played summer ball out in California, in the San Francisco area. However, San Francisco is about 8.5-hour drive away from San Diego, so that was kind of a tease of, you know, wanting to go home and stuff like that, and I just didn't have the right summer there. So I asked my coach, I don't want to play baseball in California this summer. Is it okay if I play anywhere else? I don't care where else I play. And he goes, yeah, well, I got a spot in El Dorado for you. And I go, great, I'll take it, you know. So I ended up coming here, and so far it's just been a blast playing with all these other kids and stuff.
I would imagine then you had something to do with Zach Fields, as Broncos Zamuka just flew out a terrific catch out in left field by David Walker, and that's the end of the fifth. We're 3-2 Wellington. Zach Fields from Central Michigan is here. Did you have anything to do with that, or?
Actually, no. He decided late to come to El Dorado. He had no idea where he was going during the season. 2 weeks at the end of the season, he comes up to me and goes, yeah, well, our coach told me that they got a spot in Kansas. I go, no way. Like, come on, please tell me it's El Dorado. He goes, yeah, it's El Dorado. How'd you know? I go, because I'm playing there, you know. So I got really pumped, and he kind of get all depressed, but just jokingly. So it was, you know, Zach's kind of like my older brother almost. Even though we're the same age, he kind of bullies me. I kind of annoy him and stuff like that. So it's been a lot of fun, you know, playing with Zach and keep the Central Michigan joy.
Well, it's got to be nice to be this far, you know, from home and family and from college and the family you have there to come here, and you've got a guy that at least you know pretty well to chum around with. Now, when I see Zach Fields, last week he made his debut here, and he drilled one into left field for a home run. And I watch him at the plate. He looks like the kind of guy that you're not supposed to mess with. He looks like a no-nonsense guy. Is he a big teddy bear, or is he get out of my face kind of guy?
You know, off the field, he's a really big teddy bear. He loves to laugh, you know, really jokes around all the time. On the field, he's a competitor, you know. He had a rough start of the season this year for Central. Then he learned to hit the opposite way. When he learned to hit the opposite way, he got back to the lineup and just absolutely killed it for us. I was so happy for him, just really proud.
I've only seen him a couple of games. It seems like the curveballs makes me think of the movie Major League. Seems like throwing the curveball is throwing him off, but certainly he got a steady dose of curveballs his first at bat here tonight.
Yeah, just Wellington's kind of pitching him really well. You know, he loves to attack the fastball, especially early in the count. You know, curveball, you know, it's always a weakness for everybody too, you know. We're always, as hitters, we always want to hit the fastball early, you know, just be able to get our pitch. And, you know, sometimes the pitchers like to mess around and pitch backwards to hitters.
Kirk Rocha leading off here in the top of the sixth, which we'll be sending to Avery here in just a second, but this is kind of fun visiting with Morgan Oliver. The Chippewas, I love the league you're in. You know, Western Michigan, and I'm drawing a blank on all the schools in the
Eastern Michigan, Buffalo, Kent State,
Akron, the Zips,
Akron,
Ohio.
My
niece is a Ohio U graduate, so yeah.
We swept them this year, so.
Did you?
Yeah.
What do you now? Weather-wise, climate-wise, I was born and raised in Wisconsin 20 years, and I came to Kansas because I hate snow. Now, in San Diego, you never saw snow, did you?
First time I saw snow was my freshman year.
What'd you think? Do you like it, or does it get old to you?
I don't know. You know, usually the dorms and the buildings are desert-like. They're just blasting up the heat in there, so it always seems like you're dying in class and trying to learn, and you're just like, geez, the Sahara Desert out here right now. But I really don't mind the cold that much. I think it's because I surf all the time back in San Diego, and I would surf the winter all the time. And my dad, he'd always give me these old washed up wetsuits. Like, just make sure you last the winter this year. I'll promise I'll get you a brand new wetsuit. And he never will. And I think that's always kind of made me warm blooded, I guess. So.
Rocha made the first out of this inning, a base hit there by Rowdy Andrews. He's over at first base as Grant Buchanan, the second baseman, bats for Wellington, and Andrews on the go. Schmitz fires down, but not in time. Another good jump for the Heat, and they are playing almost El Dorado-like the way they take it. They steal a lot of bases, a lot like you guys did, especially early in the year.
Yeah, the one thing that Coach Gerwick told us about was that the Heat love the run. It was really good Tuesday. We wouldn't let them steal one base. I think they got caught stealing once, but they never really had the opportunity to run against us on Tuesday. However, today is kind of one of those days, I guess.
Morgan Oliver joining us from Solano Beach.
Solana Beach.
What's that? Petco Park. Are you now? First off, Tony Gwynn passing has to be sad in San Diego land.
Yeah, it's everybody's mourning of his passing.
Did you get to see him play?
Yeah. In fact, I actually met him one time when I was a really little kid, and I was so excited going there. And once I came there, I don't know, I just ended up starting crying. I was just scared so badly, just wondering if he'd think low of me or something like that. I kind of embarrassed my mom, but he was a great guy, just all smiles. He played at San Diego State too. Just always loved San Diego, and always people in San Diego always looked up to him and stuff.
Were you one of those guys that lived at Petco Park? Are you a Padres fan? It's hard to be a Padres fan, I understand.
Actually, no. I'm a big Texas Rangers fan.
Rangers?
The reason why is because my favorite player was Hank Blaylock, and he went to high school in San Diego. He ended up, his dad worked on our house. He was a carpenter at our house. And so he comes up to me one day and goes, "Hey, do you need a glove?" I go, "Yeah, I'm actually looking for a glove for third base, like I love playing third base." And he goes, "Yeah, let me ask Hank if he's got one." The next few days later, he comes up to my house and goes, "Yeah, he just had 12 of them." And so he's like, "Yeah, just give him this one."
Did you sign it?
His glove his name was on the thumb, and it was a really cool glove, and I still have it to this day.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Quade Adams strikes out Daniel Bolt, and again, you can see that. That's why we are able to sneak away and just kind of talk with Morgan a little more here. That's the end of the top of the sixth inning, and it's 3-2 Wellington. So, I mean, you play baseball February all through the season, along with going to school. Now you're here during the summer. What are your days like for folks that are maybe watching or listening for the first time? What's the summer baseball here? Do you have to have a job? Do you just kind of hang out during the day, or what's your life like right now?
Some of the guys have a job. I think, unfortunately for me, I have to take 3 summer classes online. So usually the days before a game or even off days, I'll always be working on the computer, doing English, doing statistics homework as much as I can. Other than that, summer's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to have a relaxing time. It's cool coming to Kansas because it's one of those states I've never been in, and I love traveling, especially with Central Michigan. We travel everywhere. So it's really cool to come out to Kansas and just kind of explore El Dorado, just the small town. It's a lot of fun, and the people are just so friendly here. It's amazing.
Do you have a host family?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm living like 5 minutes away from the field.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And this field, I've always enjoyed coming to. I like the infield, and I was an infielder, a shortstop, so I like watching you out there. The turf infield has to be nice to field on.
Love it, absolutely love it.
Do you have that in your league?
No, at Central, we have dirt and grass. In fact, before our home game, we had to shovel 4 feet of snow out of left field. That was like 2 weeks 2 weeks before our first home game, and it was just the field was absolutely flooded. We ended up pouring out like 180 bags of turfus on the infield just so like hopefully it'll pass by the umpires and stuff like that. We ended up getting it done and sweeping Miami, Ohio that weekend. Unfortunately, they beat us at the MAC tournament. So
Where do they hold the MAC tournament at? Is it
Avon, Ohio.
Okay.
I think it's at a minor league park, I believe.
Jacob Spring, you might have just seen, did reach at first base. I know the picture kind of fades out at the first base there, but the throw from Rowdy Andrews took the first baseman off, Piazza off the bag. So an error on Andrews and Jacob Springs at first, and Trevor Ezell at the plate for El Dorado as the Broncos trail this one by one. Ezell misses the bunt side, misses the bunt, a throw down to first base, and Spring is picked off. And again, when you're struggling, those are the kind of things that seem to happen, Morgan.
Yep. Yeah, that's absolutely killer. Just get the leadoff runner on and try to do a job to move him over in scoring position. Unfortunately, turns backwards and start from square one again.
This Trevor Ezell, Avery and I were talking about him earlier. I mean, we've seen him pitch, plays a lot of third base, plays some left field, plays the game hard. What's it like getting to know some of these guys this summer, and especially someone like Trevor Ezell?
I'm always around Division I players and stuff like that. It's really cool to play with a lot of the junior college kids. They're playing year round too, and they are just absolute competitors. They won't let you win at all. They'll try to find a way. They'll scrap for whatever they want. It's really cool to see, and just so much heart goes into the game of baseball. So.
Antonio Fresquet at the plate, who's playing short in your absence. What do you know about Antonio? I have not seen him this year. When did he join up, and what does he bring to the team?
He actually joined up a couple days ago. He ends up going to Northwestern. I actually have a couple buddies that play at Northwestern. And
Illinois or Iowa?
Illinois, I think.
Yeah, in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I kind of was like, oh yeah, you know this guy. Yeah, man, you did really well for us, and blah blah blah. So we kind of hit it off there, and he's from California too, So we've always talked California and just catching up like through the guys that we know at Northwestern.
Well, I think I could have lived with growing up surfing every day on the beach instead of dealing with all the snow and everything. Do you like hockey?
Well,
you've got to love hockey now.
I love hockey now. A lot of my friends are from Central, big Red Wings fans. In fact, Zach is a huge Red Wings fan.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, because I'm a big Texas Rangers fan, I go, you know what? I'll just love all the Dallas, Texas teams. So the AHL, the minor league hockey, the Dallas Stars team played the Red Wings minor league team, and they ended up beating them for the Calder Cup. So I talked to my buddies, go, you know what, Stars got you on this one, and they always mess around and joke and stuff like that. But it's, hockey's a lot of fun, and we always play hockey on the Xbox. That's pretty much all we do.
I love the sound of that. Morgan, thanks so much. Kept you here probably longer than you probably wanted, but it's great to visit with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, by the way.
And hopefully we can get you on again sometime. I'd like you on the field. Maybe we can get you before or after the game.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks,
you.
Morgan. Morgan Oliver joining us here, and we don't get to interview a lot of players, but it's always fun when we get a chance to meet them, and I think I could talk life in general with Morgan Oliver all day. And again, he described Solano Beach just like when we first saw that. When we first saw that on there, I said, that sounds warm. And it's San Diego. I didn't know that. Oh, man. Avery, we just breezed through the fifth and the sixth innings, so I'm sorry, but I stole one of your innings. And
well, it seems like whenever we've had interviews, the innings have gone 1, 2, 3 so quick. It's like, oh, that's whenever you want one of those drag-out innings.
Yeah, I know. Pitching change, visit to the mound. So big thanks to Morgan Oliver. We already are in the seventh inning. This game cruising along. It's a good one, Avery. 3-2 in favor of the Heat, and we'll send it over to you.
A.J. Shaw, the right fielder, starting here. The batting for the Heat, 1-1 is the count. Shaw 0 for 2 tonight. Pitch Grounded to Parker at second. He comes up on a good throw over to Fields at first and 1 out.
For those fans maybe watching and listening for the first time, that is a rare treat. Morgan not in the lineup, be able to play, so took away a little from our broadcasting, but that's where the video helps out. You can kind of see what's going on, and I know I probably missed a few at-bats, and I do apologize for that, but that's something we haven't gotten to do really much this year, and so a real rarity. So thanks for folks at home listening, and hopefully you learned something about a neat guy in Morgan Oliver.
I think he's pretty comparable with what a lot of those guys are doing this summer. You know, they're playing baseball, but they also are taking some summer classes.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked to some other players, and they said, you know, during their off time, during the mornings before the games, they're usually on their laptops working. And so I think a lot of these guys are, yes, they're baseball players, but they're also have to get some of their schoolwork in during the summertime. Pitch from Adams in there, 1-1. Next pitch down the line and strike 2. One-two pitch to Paul Richmond, the catcher, who is 0 for 2, 2 strikeouts as he punches one down the first base line, but it'll just barely go foul.
Every new pitcher for the Broncos after 2 terrific innings by Quade Adams is Greg Hauser, the 6'6", 225 Omaha resident who goes to school at Wayne State. He has taken the hill for the Broncos.
Next pitch upstairs, 2-2.
And we do appreciate the comments and the information coming in, and again, the joy of video and audio. Not many in our league. In fact, I'm not sure many, as another rip foul ball here, have the audio and the video, and we're proud and happy to be bringing that to you tonight. And as always, we're here for every home game for El Dorado.
And a weekend series as the Broncos host the Dodge City A's this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Ball hit out to center field. Dylan Muka under it and makes the play. 2 outs in the top of the 7th. You will be hearing a different voice on Saturday and Sunday, though, as Kurt and I will be out of town, but the game will go on, and so will our broadcast. We'll have another voice. Adam Borth will be here, and he'll be bringing both of those 2 games as the ball's chopped to Levi Parker. Over to Fields, and out number 3. At the end of the top of the 7th inning, the Heat 3, Broncos 2. Stretch time here at McDonald Stadium as the Broncos try to get over the hump here as they are down by 1 run. You are listening and watching to El Dorado Broncos baseball here from McDonald Stadium on YouTube. Brady Bowman will be pitching the bottom of the 7th here at McDonald Stadium as the Heat lead the Broncos 3-2 And Max Hogan, Dylan Muka, and Levi Parker up for the Broncos here in the bottom of the 7th. First pitch chopped and foul. Oh, 1 pitch from Bowen. Swung on and fouled opposite direction. 0-2. 0-2 pitch. Another foul ball to the third base line.
Over this Brady Bowen. Dan Eck I thought, did a fine job for Wellington, but he took a line drive off the shoulder and he started laboring after that. Only went 2 1/3 inning, and this Brady Bowen's come in. He is ready to pitch. He is moving things along, and he has been very effective in his time out on the field as he has kept his team in the lead in a very close ball game.
1-2 pitch. Swung on down the left field line into the Broncos bullpen. That'll keep the count at 1-2.
Joe Kennedy down there will go retrieve that foul ball as we may be seeing Joe here, as we've seen Coach Gerwick start to use relievers near the end of games.
1-2 pitch. Swung on into right field. It's going to be a tough play, and it's going to drop. And a base hit for Max Hogan.
You could say that landed right in the Bermuda Triangle. 3 Heat players giving pursuit, but it was placed in the perfect spot by Max Hogan.
That'll bring up Dylan Muka. He is 1 for 3. Had a single back in the 3rd and a run scored. Max Hogan on first. First pitch is a ball as Muka pulled back his bunt, as we could see a sacrifice here from Dylan.
And Hogan, very aware of Paul Richmond, who we saw throw out Jacob Spring last inning down at first base.
Next pitch. It's the outside corner, strike 1.
They called the first one a strike 2.
0-2. Pitch swung on and missed. And strike 3.
Avery, that's one of those at-bats you just, as a batter, just make you sick because you couldn't get the bunt down, and then you didn't even make any contact there, and so that really helps Wellington as El Dorado wants to get Hogan down in scoring position so they get a chance to tie this game as we're in the bottom of the 7th.
Levi Parker now batting. Bats left-handed as Bowen gets ahead of another Bronco batter.
I was going to ask you, how many times do you think he's gotten ahead 0-1?
Probably, I don't even know, 95% probably would be accurate, as Levi Parker tried to check his swing but went 0-2. And even more than 0-1, he's gone 0-2 numerous times.
This is the 15th batter that Bowen has faced. I would say at least 12 of those. At least 12. He's gone 0-1.
Next pitch, outside, and ball 1.
But look at it. I mean, right, we get the ball back. He is on the mound looking in, and the batters almost have to try to slow him down, which keeps games moving along. You got to like that.
1-2 pitch. Outside, almost had Parker reaching. 2-2. Max Hogan on first. Broncos trail by 1. 2-2 pitch. Gets the inside corner, and Levi Parker goes down looking.
Avery, he went outside, 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 and then they were all curveballs. Then he busts a fastball in as Parker kept kind of leaning more and more out. It felt like a ball, but it had the plate right on the inside corner, and that'll bring up the hot-hitting Jonathan Schmitz,
who is 2 for 3 tonight, and he's got 2 doubles, and we could really use another double here from him in the gap. Would probably end up scoring Max Hogan at first.
I was going to say, this would be a good time for one of those doubles if you're a Bronco fan.
A little high, 1-0. Schmitz taking his time as Bowen kind of stares him down. He's ready to go, like normal. 1-0 pitch to him. Inside, almost hits the leg of Jonathan Schmitz. 2-0.
Hogan and Schmitz are the only Broncos that have hits off of Bowen thus far. 1 hit for each.
2-0 pitch. Outside, 3-0. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th.
And Hogan has actually 3 hits off of Bowen. Hogan has 2 of them, and Schmitz has 1. Sorry about that.
3-0 pitch. See if Schmitz has the green light, excuse me. Yeah.
I think he did have the red light.
He did have the red light. Strike 1.
It wasn't even a yellow light there.
Nope.
It was a take. But there's a big pitch right here, Avery, at 3-1 with the Schmitz up there and Fields on deck.
Schmitz really likes to pull the ball. 3-1. And there, strike 2.
You know what,
Full
Schmitz
count.
Way ahead there, 3-1. That was an excellent 3-1 pitch. It was right along the knees on the outside. If Schmitz hits that, he probably taps it to second base. So you know what? Don't go for that. You still have another pitch. I thought that's good discipline from Schmitz.
Full count, 2 outs. Max Hogan on first. Swung on and fouled down the third base line. And not going back to that last pitch, not a terrible pitch to take because now Max Hogan will be running.
Right.
So any ball you hit in the outfield, especially in the gap, should score Hogan and tie this game. 3-2 Heat currently.
And Schmitz has found that left center field gap both times, if I'm not mistaken, on his doubles.
I would have thought they would have been a replay. They were so similar.
Mm-hmm.
3-2. 2 outs. Checked his swing, and it's going to be ball 4. As the catcher, Paul Richmond, grabbed the ball and actually started kind of jumping towards the dugout and thinking it was going to be a strikeout for out number 3, and the umpire never gave.
Avery,
strikeout.
What is it on MLB Network on their quick pitch, the degree moment? This is it right here. Two runners on, big Zach Fields, the number 4 hitter up for El Dorado.
And a pitch in the turf, and that'll advance both runners. And I think their quote is, "Who kept their cool?"
Yeah, that's it.
And we'll see who will keep their cool here. Bowen versus Zach Fields. And if you're a Heat fan, or coaching staff, that would have been a huge out there because Jonathan Schmitz, you would have gotten him out, and then you would have brought up Zach Fields with only 1 player on. Now you have Zach Fields up, and now with that wild pitch, runners in scoring position.
And Richmond walked out and talked to Bowen for a little while. Now their manager will come out as well. So Brady getting a little longer chance here to settle himself down as the tying and go-ahead runs are right there in scoring position. And, if you want to be careful with Zach Fields, well, then Michael Muka follows. And Muka, we've seen him go over the wall already today. So this 3-4-5 of Schmitz, Fields, and Muka can really pose some problems for the opposition.
So 1-0, and they're going to intentionally walk Zach Fields.
It does bring up, Avery, a lefty-on-lefty matchup. We don't see a lot of that matchup versus matchup stuff at this league, but, you look at Fields, and he's very intimidating up there. All business, kind of, as Morgan Oliver said, between the lines. And so even more of one of those who kept their cool moments coming up because Michael Muka will be coming to the plate. Lefty on lefty.
A little confusion on the count there. Brady Bowen wasn't sure if he was going to have to throw one more outside of the zone. Nevertheless, bases loaded.
Well, Wellington's comfortable in these situations. They've been winning a lot of games like this. Now can an opponent come up with that clutch 2-out hit, Avery? This is what teams have been lacking against Wellington this year.
First pitch, inside, hits the corner, 0-1. Michael Muka, the designated hitter. Bases loaded. And there, strike 2, 0-2 to Muka.
Bowen busted him inside on the first pitch, and that sweeping curveball on the second.
0-2 pitch, 2 outs. Upstairs, 1-2.
Good crowd here tonight, and they'd love to see Michael come through with a big hit here.
1-2 pitch. Swung on, chopped down the first base line, but foul.
Bowen may have gotten away with one there. That looked like it hung a little bit. Muka was a little in front of it and just tapped it harmlessly foul, but that didn't have that good sharp break like so many of his pitches have.
1-2 pitch. Swung on, chopped between first and second. It's trouble. Muka down the line, and Bowen just beats him to the bag. And you know, a team that might be hot, that ball maybe slips away or Muka gets his foot on the bag first, but a team that's struggling doesn't always work that way in baseball, and the Broncos leave them loaded in the bottom of the 7th. Going to the top of the 8th, Heat 3, Broncos 2. More El Dorado Bronco baseball coming up here on YouTube.
We're going to get ready to draw for the 50-50 drawing. Get your blue tickets out. You guys raised a total of $325 tonight. Let's hear it for the Broncos fans. If we draw your number, you're going to win $162.50. Or you're welcome to donate that to the Broncos organization. Whatever you'd like to do, anything down here in front, walk up here and draw a number for me. Somebody. Walk up here to the window. Good enough. All right, your blue tickets. Get your blue tickets out. Here's the number.
571685.
It's 571-685. 571-685. We have a winner right here in front, isn't it? Hey, Morgan Oliver's host parents won the money tonight. They decided to donate it back to the Broncos. Let's hear it for the Short family.
Going into the top of the 8th, the Wellington Heat 3. The El Dorado Broncos 2. The Heat coming off a second-place finish last year at the NBC tournament, as the El Dorado Broncos took home 3rd. So a good, close, in proximity rivalry between these two teams. First pitch in there, strike 1 to David Walker, the left fielder. Greg Hauser's next pitch, just a bit outside. Scooch away from catcher Jonathan Schmitz, and 1-1. We'd like to throw that out there that the Broncos every night do a 50-50 drawing. And Morgan Oliver's host parents, I don't think we have names on them, decided to donate their money back. A good play. Wow. Max Hogan, a diving stop. Looked like Mike Moustakis, the third baseman for the Royals over there. A diving stop and a good throw over the fields, and he got David Walker by a step or two.
Slid on his knee a bit there, hopped to his feet, and he rifled a strike to Fields. And if you were just watching first base, it wasn't even close. Great play by Hogan.
1 out. Next pitch, or first pitch, to Tony Piazza.
You're talking about that 50-50. They said it was the Shore family who was the host family, but that was the largest amount of money I've heard in our time here at El Dorado. $360 or $325,
I believe. But
it's pretty good.
And they decided to donate back, so thank you to them. That's awesome.
Good night for the Broncos.
It'd be a better night if they can get over the hump here, down 3-2, as Piazza hits one out to center field, and Dylan Muka comes down with the catch. 2 outs in the top of the 8th.
Avery, I just wanted to mention, Wellington really got off to a tremendous start here tonight. If you're tuning in a bit late, 2 runs on 4 hits in the first inning for Wellington. They were really doing a lot of good things. But since that time, they've in the last 6 2/3 innings, 1 run on just 3 hits. Terrific job by El Dorado relief pitching and starting pitching as well.
Hauser pitches one upstairs, 1-0. Yeah, the Heat, actually sent 7 batters in the first inning, and put up 2 runs really quick. Next pitch swung on down the right field line, and a good catch from Jacob Spring. And 3 up, 3 down. In the top of the 8th, the Broncos coming up to bat in the bottom of the 8th, down 3-2.
Let's keep it here, Avery, because I haven't mentioned tonight's sponsor of the game. Holly Frontier is a local business here, and I've got some information I wanted to mention about them. These teams are just going back, and the outs are coming so quick, Avery. My interview with Morgan Oliver took 2 innings, and just because the game's going so quick with the great pitching from both teams here tonight. But I want to mention a few things about our great sponsor here. But they've been having some raffles and giving away some goodies to everybody. So everyone likes getting stuff at the game. But Holly Frontier is a corporation among the largest independent petroleum refiners in the United States, with operations throughout the Mid-Continent, Southwestern, and Rocky Mountain regions. Holly Frontier Corporation employs approximately 2,500 people, with 442 of those right here in El Dorado. And I always love this, Avery. They're one of the largest employers here in Butler County, and annually spend about $3.5 million with suppliers and contractors in El Dorado. So they're keeping their money right here in the great city of El Dorado. And leagues like this and teams like this can't survive unless you have some corporate friends. And it seems like as you and I continue to learn more and more about this team in this town, there's a lot of folks that really love the El Dorado Broncos, and we're very grateful that they do.
Yeah, that's thank you, Holly Frontier. First pitch to Broncos batter Jacob Spring, who just caught the final out in the top of the 8th inning, is a ball, 1-0. Next pitch swung on and fouled, 1-1. As Brady Bowen still on the hill. Three-two Heat. 1-1 pitch. In there, strike 2, 1-2.
Avery, you mentioned Wellington. I got to get this in real quick. 7 batters to the plate in the first inning. They've gone 3 up, 4, 4, 3, 4, 3, 3 since then. They haven't mounted much. Not that El Dorado has either, but the way Wellington started, I thought we might be in for one of those kind of games tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got, like I said, 2 runs really quick. Jacob Spring takes a pitch. Pretty close as Paul Richmond, the catcher for the Heat, thought it was a strike and held the ball there a little longer. 3-2 to Jacob Spring. Fouled off. That'll get out of the stadium, and that'll keep the count at 3-2. Spring 0 for 2 tonight. Next pitch also fouled.
Just a pitcher-dominated game. Brady Bowen out of the bullpen has been really fantastic for Wellington, and Schumann, Adams, and Hauser have all been good for El Dorado as well.
3-2 pitch, another foul. So a good at bat here from Jacob Spring, if nothing else, really making Brady Bowen earn it. Trevor Ezell in the on-deck circle. The Heat have 3 runs on 7 hits. The Broncos 2 runs on 7 hits. 3-2 pitch. Another foul ball.
And it was 3-2 after 3, which was, again, led me to believe we might be in for maybe a 9-8, 10-9, 12-8, some kind of game like that. It has remained at 3-2, and the pitchers have taken over for the last 4 innings.
Bowen just off the plate. And Jacob Spring, a leadoff walk. And now Trevor Ezell, the left-handed batter, is up for the Broncos.
It was Ezell, Avery, you might remember, in the 6th inning, couldn't get the bunt down, and Richmond, I should say, did a great job of getting a missed bunt, firing down to first, and picking off Spring.
Attempted bunt down the third base line. It's a good one. Third baseman has it. Good play to retire Trevor Zell, but Zell does his job and advances Jacob Spring into scoring position at second base with Antonio Frisquet now batting for the Broncos.
Played his college ball at Northwestern in the Big Ten. I thought Northwestern Iowa, but it's a Northwestern Division I school.
Spring on second. His pitch hits Frisquet. For the second time tonight, Antonio Frisquet has been hit by a pitch. But the Broncos will take it. First and second, one out with Max Hogan. Now up to bat. He's left-handed swinger.
He has 2 of the 3 hits that Bowman has allowed since Brady came in back in the 3rd inning.
Big gap between first and second. Pitch. Swung on into bloop to left field. It's going to drop, and it does. Everybody move up a base. Base is loaded, 1 out, and the Broncos look to have something going here in the bottom of the 8th inning.
How about Max Hogan, Avery? He was able to find a hole between right field, center field, and second base his last at bat. Now he finds a hole right between the shortstop and the left fielder. And a tremendous job by Max Hogan. Dad in the crowd. Those parents sometimes make a big difference when they're in the crowd.
Sometimes it's just a hit like that can really turn around a game, turn around a week, turn around a season even.
And he's had a couple of them.
Yep. Dylan Muka, the leadoff batter for the Broncos. Pitch gets past the catcher, and the Broncos have this game tied at 3. As Jacob Spring comes around to score on the pass ball. We're going to go with the wild pitch there, Kurt.
I would say pass ball. It didn't look very far out. It just, Richmond, who's been dynamic back there all night, it just got by him.
Second and third. 1 out, and the infield is in. Next pitch, also low and away. Almost scorched by Paul Richmond again. 2-0. Levi Parker on deck. Dylan Muka, 1 for 4 tonight. He had a single and a run scored in the third. The pitch to him, to the shortstop. He gets it. Now over to Richmond. A play at the plate, and is called out is Frisquet. And a big play from the Heat. Potentially a game-saving play. And Levi Parker now up.
Credit Rowdy Andrews. He had to kind of go to a knee. That ball was sharply hit by Muka, but right at Andrews. He came up, fired a strike to Richmond, and the slide wasn't a bad one by Frisquet, but he was tagged out.
Parker up. Ball 1 to him. 1-0 pitch to Levi Parker. This game tied at 3 in the bottom of the 8th. The Broncos have guys on first and second. Next pitch in there, strike 1. 1-1.
Schmitz would be next, Avery, for the Broncos.
Followed by Zach Fields. A dangerous 1-2 punch there. Next pitch, just a bit outside. And 2-1.
Outfield plays Parker straight up. We've seen him a lot of times try to kind of spray them out into left field.
2-1 pitch. Swung on and fouled. That'll even up the count at 2-2.
He does have some room down the right field line. If anything, center field and right field are shading him to go the other way. So the spot to hit for Levi right now would be right over first base.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 men on for the Broncos. Score is 3-3. Levi Parker up to bat. 2-2 pitch. I'm taking maybe a little outside. That is a close pitch to take with 2 strikes.
Runners are moving now, Avery, on 3-2.
3-2 pitch to Levi Parker. 2 outs. The pitch to him. And there you got him looking. So Levi Parker strikes out, and this side is retired. But the Broncos tie it up in the bottom of the 8th. We are tied at 3, headed in to the top of the 9th. Broncos 3, Heat 3. An exciting finish here from McDonald Stadium. More play-by-play coming up next.
6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. That's 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. And the last one is 6, 4, 5, 7, 4, 5. 6, 4, 5, 7, 4, 5. If you got one of these tickets, go see Barb down here right in front of the booth. And she'll have some prizes for you, sponsored by Holly Frontier. Now pitching for the Colorado Broncos out of the University of Nebraska Kearney, number 20, Chase Gulzo.
So the Broncos had a chance to take the lead, but a good play from Rowdy Anderson, and then a strikeout from Brady Bowen, and we are tied at 3 here in the top of the 9th inning, and we'll send it over to Kurt Caden to tell us more, and a new Broncos pitcher in.
Thanks, Avery. Chase Gulzo coming in for the Broncos, and Gulzo has been very good for El Dorado on the season. 6 1/3 innings pitched. Has not allowed a run. 9 strikeouts for Gulzo. Hitters are batting .143 against him. And this is his 6th appearance of the season. 3-3, we're tied up in the top of the 9th inning. These teams were at the same juncture, interestingly enough, on Tuesday at Wellington. And it was Wellington who came up with the run in the bottom of the 9th to win that ball game. El Dorado had a golden chance there in the 8th. They did scratch one across. They got scored 1 on just 1 hit. A walk, a hit batter, and a pass ball, and a run scored. Gulzo slings one in for strike 2. It's Rowdy Andrews, Grant Buchanan, and Daniel Bolt up for the Heat here in the 9th inning. Andrews 2 out of 3 tonight. Struck out in the 3rd, singled in the 1st, and in the 6th. Gulzo brings it in, and strike 3 looking. Chase Gulzo has just an interesting delivery. I don't imagine a lot of these guys see a delivery like it. And he really does a fine job bringing it to the plate. He's fun to watch. Chase Gulzo from Grand Island, Nebraska, 6'3", 175. And that brings up the left-handed batting Grant Buchanan. Man, he'll take ball 1. Buchanan was called for interference back in the 1st inning, which really was a big play because Wellington was really cooking in that 1st inning. But that interference out sent a runner back to first base, and it gave the Heat a 2nd out of the inning. And they were retired 1 batter later. They did score 2 in that 1st inning. Buchanan then singled in the 4th and grounded out to Frisquette in the 6th. 3-3, top of the 9th. 1 ball, 1 strike to Grant Buchanan from Chase Gulzo. Gulzo sets and deals, and fighting it off was Buchanan, and it's out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Grant Buchanan goes to Colby Community College out in northwestern Kansas. playing a summer ball for the Wellington Heat. The Heat are undefeated on the season, both in Jayhawk play and overall. They are having a terrific year, and it's games like this that they have been winning. I was going to say more often than not. Well, they haven't not won a game like this. They had some close ones with Hayes, 4-3 win over our Broncos on Tuesday. They had a one-run win over Derby as well. There's a pitch in and out of the glove of Jonathan Schmitz. Couldn't squeeze it, so Buchanan will get another shot. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Schmitz, Fields, and Muka will be up for El Dorado in the bottom half of the 9th inning. Youth baseball going on out past the scoreboard, as you see on your video screen. Great to see all the kids that are out playing. Here's a pitch again, fouled it off by Buchanan. Lights are on out there. They do a great job here in El Dorado supporting older youth and younger youth. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
We're all youth, right? I feel like youth. I wouldn't qualify, but I think you would qualify still.
Maybe.
You would be older youth. Buchanan steps out of the box. Tough loss for the Royals today, 2-1. The 10-game winning streak is gone, Avery, as the Royals come home for a nice homestand with Seattle and then a pair of teams from Los Angeles.
Should be a pretty good week of Royals baseball. They got some tough competition coming into the K as Gulzo evens up the count at 2-2 with that pitch.
They'll get to see Clayton Kershaw, who threw a no-hitter last night for the Dodgers. He'll be pitching Tuesday or Wednesday.
How about 10 in a row?
That's amazing.
Like last time that happened, 1994.
2-2 pitch. Buchanan slaps it out to left field. Trevor Rizal backing up and fields it for the out. 2 away. And what you can't tell probably on the video is with the rains we had a week or two ago, the left field, left center field really have Doug Bell's had to work many hours trying to make sure everything's okay out there. And it's still, you can just still see sand and whatnot as they're trying to get some grass back out there. In fact, last time we were here, Avery, last Wednesday, they had to even mark off part of the field that was an automatic double area. But that looks better, but it's still tricky. So the left fielders and when the center fielders coming over, got to be careful because the footing isn't great out there. So what do we got, Avery?
Luke Doyle pinch hitting for Daniel Bolt.
Left-handed batter. 2 outs in the top of the 9th. Luke Doyle. Well, I've seen more guys in this Jayhawk League, Avery, from Yavapai College, which I think is a Hawaiian school. I think. I'm not positive.
And that would be a good interview.
But But Luke Doyle doesn't quite have that Hawaiian flair, so maybe it's not. I could be delirious, too. No balls and a strike from Chase Gulzo, and he comes in with the off-speed, just missed. 1 ball and 1 strike. Now this day of technology, Avery's going to go to his cell phone here and do a little Google search. 1 ball, 1 strike to Luke Doyle. Chase Gulzo. Sets and deals the pitch, and way behind that one. Look out, El Dorado dugout. That thing ricocheted off the netting, and now they raise up the fencing a little bit in front of the dugout. It looks like it can be adjusted to different levels, and they moved it up one just in case Doyle is behind another Gulzo fastball. Oh, it's bro. I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. It was just going to a different level. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Gulzo at the belt, takes a long look in. Here's the pitch and a strikeout of Luke Doyle, and the Broncos will come to bat in the bottom of the 9th inning with a chance to knock off Wellington and be the first team to do so this year. Through 8.5, our score. El Dorado 3, Wellington 3. We're back in just a moment as you watch and listen to exciting El Dorado Bronco baseball. And welcome back to El Dorado. 3-3, and Robbie Romero comes in for Wellington, and Avery Brady Bowen goes 5 2/3, allowed just 1 run and just 3 hits. He had 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, 1 intentional, and he hit 1 batter, but an excellent performance by Bowen tonight.
Yeah, he really looked good on the mound tonight, and I'm sure we will see him again later in the season.
So Robbie Romero fires in a curveball, and that's in there for a strike. Schmitz, Fields, and Muka, 3-4-5 for El Dorado. And both managers going to their best. Gulzo for El Dorado and Romero for Wellington in the late stages. And Schmitz behind on a little off speed, 0-2. So you figured out Yavapai College for me.
Prescott, Arizona.
Not Hawaii, but warm.
Warm. Out of this region, but not in Hawaii.
So I'm sure some folks who knew that were like, come on, man. The 0-2, and just low. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 3-3, we're tied. Bottom of the 9th inning. 3-7-1 for Wellington. 3-8-1 for El Dorado. Jonathan Schmitz, 2 for 3 with a walk. 2 doubles tonight for Schmitz. Here's Romero's pitch, and Schmitz waves and misses. Strike 3. If this game goes on into the 10th, Avery, it'll be interesting. Will we see Gulzo another inning? Will we see Romero? A lot of times, you and I watch a lot of Major League Baseball. Managers never in the majors let their closers go more than 1 inning, really. So we'll see how these managers handle that. If we have that, Zach Fields could put one over the wall and send us all home happy. Fields will look at a first pitch curveball, and that has been kind of his bugaboo in the couple of games we've seen Zach, is the off speed, the slow stuff. No balls, 1 strike. Romero deals, and that one just kind of looked like a splitter. That one really dropped off the table and fell into the turf for a ball. 1 ball and 1 strike to Zach Fields. Fields flew out to left, grounded out to short. He was hit by a pitch and intentionally walked. Officially 0 for 2. And he swings and misses. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Michael Muka will be next for the Broncos. Romero takes a deep breath, now fires it into Fields, and again, that almost, if you're familiar with Sergio Romo from the Giants, a ball that kind of starts on the inside part of the plate, and it's more of a slider than a curveball, and it just sweeps across the plate, Avery. Too close to take, but awful tough to swing at, and neither Schmitz or Fields were able to figure it out.
No, they weren't, and now stepping up to plate, Michael Muka, who has home run potential. He hit 1 back in the 2nd inning.
A no-doubter. Romero, ball 1. Yeah, Muka got the Broncos on the board with that home run in the 2nd inning, which kind of signaled the beginning of the end for Dan Eck, who started for Wellington here tonight, went 2 1/3. Brady Bowen went 5 2/3, but cannot win or lose it. It's up to Gulzo and Romero now. 2 balls and no strikes to Muka. Jacob Spring would be next for El Dorado. Here's the pitch, and Muka thought about it, and he did go around. 2 balls and a strike. He wanted to hold up, but he just couldn't, it looked like, as he check swing that one for a strike. 2 balls, 1 strike, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. The pitch from Romero, and it's low, 3-1. So Muka You would think as a hitter, you look dead red here, don't you? Fastball and see if you can put the good part of the bat on it.
Look for your pitch.
2 outs here in the 9th. Romero wheels and deals, and instead of going fastball, he threw that slider in there, went on the outside corner, and called the strike. I'll tell you what, the pitchers have really worked on the outside corner, and the umpires, for the most part, have given them the corners, but there's been times we've seen them not give it. It hasn't been terribly consistent, but more often than not, they've been getting that corner call. Both sides. Romero with a 3-2 pitch, grounded down to first base. Piazza's got it, looks it into the glove, trots over to first base, and we've got some, well, it was already free baseball, but free baseball. We'll go to extra innings as the Broncos go quietly in the 9th. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. We're through 9. Wellington and El Dorado tied at 3. Extra innings coming up in a moment here on YouTube. Nine, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, instead of going every other inning. And as, well, Avery, this is our first adventure into extra innings this year. So we'll just, what Avery and I do is go about every 2 innings or so and then switch it off. And so we got off anyway with our Morgan Oliver interview. Normally we'd hand it over to you. I'll take the 10th inning, and then we'll.
Hopefully the Broncos can finish it here.
In the bottom of the 10th, Wellington will send up 8, 9, and 1. And Chase, is that Gulzo staying out there, Avery?
I don't know. I can't see his number.
Both teams kind of hard. Yep, that's Gulzo, and he's wild on ball 1. A.J. Shaw, Paul Richmond, and Aaron Seipel are the 3 scheduled batters for the Wellington Heat. A.J. 0 for 3 tonight. Gulzo comes in with strike 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Shaw's first at bat came in the 2nd inning, and he hit a screamer back at Nick Schumann. And Nick gloved it cleanly. And it seemed like after that line drive out, Nick kind of got into his groove after that out. It seemed like he got knocked down and he was ready to go as Shaw offers as he tried to drag a bunt, and it'll be strike 2. Schumann had a rough first inning, although he was around the plate, gave up 2 runs and 4 hits, but then he was really good for the next 3 innings before he gave way to Quade Adams, who was outstanding. So was Greg Hauser, and Chase Gulzo has 1 good inning in the books as he looks for another one here. 1 ball and 2 strikes to the left-handed hitting A.J. Shaw, and Gulzo challenged fastball, blows it by him, strike 3. So here comes Paul Richmond. And for Wellington, Avery, I wanted to give you this. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That is 12 Wellington Heat players in a row retired by El Dorado pitching. Their last base runner came with Rowdy Andrews' single in the 6th inning. They've only had 2 hits in the last 5 1/3 innings. Gulzo gets ahead 0-1 on Paul Richmond, who's 0 for 3 tonight. A strikeout in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th, and flew out to Dylan Muka in the 7th inning.
I think that's a good thing that the pitching is doing so well. The batting will figure its way out in time, I believe.
Well, so many good players out there. Is a high chopper to Parker at 2nd. He's got time with Richmond running. And Parker retires him 2nd to 1st. As always, like to shout out to our favorite PA guy, Bill Young here. Also, JD on the scoreboard and Gary on stats. It's a cracked crew, but a crew that we like. Is that fair?
Fair enough.
2 away in the 10th inning. Aaron Seipel, the leadoff batter. And Avery, it was Seipel back in the first inning who ripped a double with 2 strikes, and it looked like it could be a long night, but he rounded out to short in the 2nd, back to the pitcher in the 5th, and to second base in the 7th. And he's swinging and missing at a 1-0 pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. Do hope you're enjoying our broadcast on YouTube for free video and audio, and we're glad to have you along for every home game. And for those of you watching and maybe new to us, this game will be archived, so you can go back and watch any part of it or all of it again at your leisure. Seipel fouls one off, 1-2. And a lot of folks, we get anywhere between 30 and 50 people watching it live, but we get a lot more watching the archive, which is one of the nice perks, I think, of getting this on YouTube, Avery. You can go back and watch it, and it's there forever for you.
If there's a play you missed or you didn't get to catch a certain inning you wanted to, go back and watch it for free.
Gulzo ahead 1-2 and misses 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now, of course, you and I wish we had about 4 or 5 cameras and we could really zoom in. Unfortunately, especially on a great outfield play, it's tough to see on the video, but I guess it's better than nothing. It's the best that we can do right now. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 2 away, top of the 10th inning, and the pitch from Gulzo, and another strikeout and a fist pump from Chase as he continues, Avery, to have a 0.00 ERA. And now can the Broncos get a win here for Chase? We'll go to the bottom of the 10th inning. We're tied at 3. You're watching and listening to El Dorado Bronco Baseball. Welcome back to El Dorado. Kurt Caden along with Avery Osen. Hope you're enjoying our broadcast tonight. We're flying along. Tell you what, Avery, there's been some nights, it's, 9:23. And here we are in the bottom of the 10th inning, flying along here. If I said, Avery, we're going to go at least 10 innings, you'd say, we'll probably be done until 10:30 or 11. We may still not be done until 10:30 or 11, but it'll probably be about the 15th or 16th inning by then. So here come the Broncos, and they'll bring up Jacob Spring, Trevor Azell, and Antonio Frisquet. And the first pitch off speed and a strike to Jacob Spring. This is Robbie Romero, a right-hander from Oklahoma City. One of about 3 or 4 guys from Oklahoma City, which is a high-powered NAIA school, a big NAIA school. Of course, in Oklahoma City, you would expect a big school like that. 1 ball and 1 strike to Jacob Spring. And the pitch caught the outside corner. Spring didn't like it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. That one looked a little, not only outside, but it also looked a bit low from up here. Spring tonight, 0 for 3. He walked and scored the tying run in the 8th inning. He scored on a pass ball. Here's the 1-2. That's right down the middle for strike 3. You can't argue that one. Tell you what, Avery, Romero and Gulzo, if they come into any game with the lead, you're really going to have to earn your way to get anything off them because both of them look almost unhittable.
Well, that's probably how the Heat have had so much success. If they're up by even just 1 run going into the 9th inning, bring Romero in and almost have a lock for a win.
So one away. Here's Trevor Azell. He's been asked to bunt the last 2 times. He drives one to right field, to the wall, to the warning track, and then coming in a step is the right fielder, A.J. Shaw. Slight breeze, it probably didn't help the flight of that ball. I thought Azell got it off the bat, and maybe, I guess, too high, just to the warning track.
A.J. Shaw, at least he was playing with my mind a little bit. He kind of looked back and almost took a glance over the wall.
That's what I saw.
Then he just walked right in front of the wall and came down with the catch.
Yeah, he actually committed too far, came back in a step or two. Yeah, the way he looked, it almost looked like he had his back to us, like, whoops, this one's done. The winning streak is over, but not the case. 2 away here in the 10th. And Antonio Fresquette. He's been hit twice, grounded out to the pitcher, and a soft line drive to first base. 0 for 2. 1 ball and 1 strike to Fresquette, and that one outside. 2 balls and a strike. Max Hogan would be next for the El Dorado Broncos. 3-3, bottom of inning 10. Romero sets and deals the pitch, and that nice slider in there for a strike. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fresquette from San Mateo, California. Morgan Oliver telling us that a couple of California guys, they like to sit and talk about California. Fresquette couldn't pull the trigger, and Romero and Gulzo in their 2 innings of work both record 4 strikeouts in the 6 outs they recorded. So we're through 10 innings. Broncos in heat, tied at 3. The 11th inning is coming up next as you watch and listen here on YouTube. And welcome back here to El Dorado. We go to the 11th inning. Again, it started off, it looked like it could be a hitter's battle, Avery. It has turned into a flat-out grinder of a pitcher's battle, which is fun to watch when pitchers are in control. And Chase Gulzo is coming out for his 3rd inning of work, and we'll send it over to my partner, Avery Olsen, for the 11th and the 12th.
He'll face David Walker to start off here in the top of the 11th inning. Walker 2 for 4 tonight. He had a triple and a single in the 3rd and 1st innings. First pitch from Gulzo, a little outside, ball 1. The Broncos fans not too wild about that call.
It was in the neighborhood where so many pitches have been tonight. Never easy being a home plate umpire, though.
1-0 pitch. Swung on down the third base line and foul. You're always going to be scrutinized and
Avery,
part of the game.
14 Heat batters have been retired in order here by El Dorado pitching. And they've only had 2 hits in the last 6 innings.
Domination here from the Broncos pitcher against a team that has won so many games in a row. Next pitch in there, strike 2, 1-2. To David Walker, the left fielder. One-two pitch. Just misses the plate. 2-2.
It's just the intensity of the game, Avery. The fans are into it. You love this about this baseball here, and fans are into every pitch. You could have gone either way there.
2-2 pitch. Swung on and foul. And I think, a lot of these fans, they know this league, and they know, like you said, this is a rivalry that's dated back, the past, 5-10 years. I mean,
well, they've been in Wellington for just 2 years.
Yeah, but the rivalry, I think, has gone back, and a ball is hit to third base. A good throw from Max Hogan, and out number 1. But I think these fans know that, and I think they know that the Heat come in undefeated, and they're on a streak, and the Broncos, a struggling team. What a better way to kind of put your feet back on the ground with a win, and if they're going to win here tonight, it's going to be in a walk-off fashion. 1 out here in the top of the 11th, and Tony Piazza. First pitch, swung on and fouled.
Coach, this is a Wellington team. You got to have a lot of respect. We saw Hayes come in here for that weekend series. We were very impressed with Hayes. Wellington went to Hayes and swept them. So that's a pretty good job by them. Hayes has fallen off a little bit since they were here in El Dorado.
0-1 pitch, low, 1-1.
Hayes at one time was undefeated with Wellington. They currently are 7-5, if I'm not mistaken, in the Jayhawk League. June bugs flying in here.
All sorts of bugs. We had a wasp earlier, and Gulzo throws a strike, 1-2.
I look kind of foolish, which isn't anything too unusual, Avery. I was wondering if most closers would only go about an inning. Well, Gulzo entering his 3rd inning here, and I would imagine the same maybe from Romero, although there is some action in the Wellington bullpen.
And I don't see any drop-off from 2 innings ago. Gulzo still pitching well.
Bullpen's empty on the El Dorado side.
1-2 pitch, swung on, spring in right field, and that ball just stayed up. It looked like it maybe was going to fall for a base hit, but never dropped. And a good catch from Jacob Spring, and 2 outs. Like you said, Kurt, they had some. It was 3-1 back at the end of the top of the 3rd. The Broncos run up in the bottom of the 8th. Other than that, a bunch of goose eggs on the scoreboard here at McDonald's Stadium.
And not many even threats. I mean, it hasn't been both teams have been that clutch hit away. The Broncos were in the 8th inning. Mm-hmm. But really, for both sides, not a lot of opportunities.
First pitch in there, strike 1. A lot of 1-2-3 innings. And if not 1-2-3, maybe a base hit, and then they got the next 2 guys out. Or base hit with 2 outs. There hasn't been a whole lot of threats by either team. The Broncos do have 1 more hit than the Heat. 0-1 pitch from Chase Gulzo. Swung on and missed from Kirk Rocha.
And I don't mean to keep harping on it, but again, Wellington had 2 runs and 4 hits in that 1st inning, and in the last, 9 2/3, they've had 1 run on 3 hits.
The Broncos pitching really leading the way in this one. 0-2 pitch, 2 outs. Swung on to Fresquet at shortstop. A low throw, a good scoop from Zach Fields. And side retired, 1, 2, and 3. Going into the bottom of the 11th, the Broncos trying to finish this game. More El Dorado Broncos baseball continues here on YouTube.
Kurt King and Avery Olsen do an awesome job with play-by-play online. It's free to access. Go to www.youtube.com. Search for Kurt King. That's Kurt King with 2 C's. CURTCADEN. Subscribe to his channel for free. We will always post a link on the El Dorado Broncos Facebook page. The games are also archived, so you can go back and watch any Broncos home game. Again, youtube.com. Kurt King with 2 C's. Go subscribe to his channel. CURTCADEN. It says 12. Hale Russell. Now pitching for the Wellington Heat, number 12, Hale Russell.
Wellington Heat 3, the El Dorado Broncos 3, as we come into the bottom of the 11th inning. Max Hogan will be the first batter here for the Broncos, followed by Dylan Muka and Levi Parker. New pitcher into the game for the Heat, Cale Russell. First pitch to Hogan, swung on and fouled.
Like Romero, Avery, Russell from Oklahoma City College, or university, I should say.
0-1 pitch in there, strike two. Oh, 2 pitch. Gonna ring him up, hits the outside corner, a call that has been pretty iffy tonight. Sometimes it's a strike, sometimes it's not. It really, like you said, hasn't been too consistent. Nonetheless, out number 1.
Consistently inconsistent. There you go. Avery Romero goes 2 innings, gave up no hits, 4 strikeouts for Wellington as he gives way here to Russell.
The next question we have is, if the Broncos don't score, will Guzzo be out for another inning? Next pitch from Russell, ball 2-0. In the inning and a half of extra innings, not one hit, not one walk between the two teams.
And no errors either. A lot of strikeouts, a lot of just great pitching, folks. This is, if you like good pitching, this has been your kind of game.
3-0 pitch outside, and as a broadcaster normally jinx something, I do. And a walk in the favor of the Broncos, and Dylan Muka stands on first, and Levi Parker up to bat.
Do you one-out bunt here, Avery, to try to get him in scoring position, but you could give up another? You only have 2 outs to go here in this inning. A tough decision.
Checks Muka at first, and it's only about the second or third checked runner tonight. Just hasn't been that many on base. One out, the pitch. Just a bit high, 1-0. So 5 consecutive balls from Cale Russell. 1 out, Dylan Muka on first.
The heavy-hitting part of the order is coming up after Parker, Avery.
Not a good place to start getting behind in counts and walking batters. Checks Muka at first again. He gets in there safely. 1-0 pitch to Levi Parker. Upstairs, 2-0. Broncos will be at home tomorrow night, Saturday night and Sunday night, as they host the Dodge City A's. Little home weekend series for these Broncos, as a ball swung on by Parker to left field. Walker under it and makes the play. 2 outs. And now I'm sure Chad Gerwick questioning, maybe trying to sacrifice there.
Of course, it's tough. You put yourself in a position where maybe they walk Schmitz to bat to Fields. But, you got 2 big right-handed hitting guys coming up here for El Dorado. Schmitz has a couple of doubles here, and Wellington wants to talk to Russell and let him know maybe where to try to stay away from Schmitz, because he's leveled a couple of balls. In fact, they're going to take the lefty out, Avery?
Yep. New pitcher. And for the Wellington Heat, as their winning streak is on the line here. A runner on first, 2 outs in the bottom of the 11th. The Broncos trying to take down the Heat. We'll see if they do here, as looks like Brandon McMillan, the new pitcher for the Heat. We'll have the rest of this bottom of the 11th inning. More play-by-play coming up here from McDonald Stadium in El Dorado. Brandon McMillan taking his final warm-up pitch before he faces Jonathan Schmitz and hopefully Zach Fields, with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 11th. Dylan Muka on first base. He reached via the walk.
One thing that, maybe Coach Gerwick plays around with here too is now you have a right-handed pitcher, so Muka might be able to get a better lead. Maybe you try to steal him here. If he gets thrown out, you lead off with Schmitz and Fields in the 12th inning.
Outfielders playing pretty deep. Schmitz grounds one to third. The throw. It's a good one. One pitch from McMillan, but he gets the out. And we continue here, heading into the top of the 12th. Heat 3, Broncos 3. More Broncos baseball coming up from McDonald Stadium here on YouTube. As the scoreboard has turned from JD here at McDonald Stadium. If you've never been here, the scoreboard, it's a very nice scoreboard, shows who has scored in each inning. And only zeros in the one column for the 11th inning as we head into the top of the 12th. And a 3-3 contest. We're in a pretty good one. Chase Gulzo still on the mound. He'll pitch to Rowdy Andrews, Grant Buchanan, and Luke Doyle. First pitch is up and caught by Jonathan Schmitz. A diving, sliding catch on his knees. And a good way to start the top half of the 12th inning.
Avery, I doubt the people on the video and watching us were able to see that very well. But Jonathan Schmitz, when he threw off his helmet and everything, kicked it forward. He actually kind of stumbled over his headgear before making a fantastic catch against Rowdy Andrews.
Grant Buchanan, the second baseman, steps up to the plate. First pitch. Didn't really get a clear indication on a ball or a strike.
No! 18 in a row, Avery, retired by El Dorado pitching.
We're threatening a perfect game.
Yeah.
Exclude the first, 3 innings. Next pitch, chopped to Gulzo. Over to first. 2 down.
I'm not sure if this on the video does it justice either, Avery, but that chopper had so much spin, which we've seen this year from time to time. It looked like it was kind of going towards third. That ball hit the turf and took almost a right turn, but Chase kind of long and lanky out there, fielded it calmly, fired over to first, and retired the 19th in a row for El Dorado. Luke Doyle, who was a pinch hitter for Daniel Bolt in the 9th inning, he'll get another crack at it here. Hits one up high. Bresquette with the catch. 3 pitches from Chase Gulzo, and if anything is going to keep him in this game longer, a 3-pitch inning will do so. We head to the bottom of the 12th, deadlocked here at McDonald Stadium. 3-3, more Broncos baseball coming up. So Chase Gulzo throws 3 pitches in the top half of the 12th. If you remember, in the bottom half of the 11th, Brandon McMillan came in and threw 1 pitch to Jonathan Schmidt. So in the last 4 batters, 4 pitches. And if anything's going to move this game along, 4 pitches and 4 at-bats. It's moving along here, folks. Zach Fields batting first here in the bottom of the 12th. First pitch, low and outside, ball 1. For the most part, the pitcher's been up there ready to go. They are throwing strikes, and batters are swinging right away. You don't see a lot of taking.
Next pitch in there, 1-1.
Guys are getting up there. They are ready to swing, and, the pitchers have been right around the plate all night.
1-1 pitch. Fields a little ahead of it, of the curveball, 1-2.
That was a mighty swing, Avery. I like to say a mighty swing. If he connects there, we head home.
Zach Fields ready for bedtime. Looking to end that one quickly. 1-2. Swung on and foul. Right behind us. One, two. Swung on and missed. Fields a little late. 1 retired here in the bottom of the 12th. Michael Muka takes his turn. Had a home run in the 2nd inning.
I'm sure the at-bat Avery Hill remember the one in the 7th with the bases loaded. He came up, grounded out to first, a little 3-1 play. He ran hard, almost beat it out.
Now hits one to the shortstop, a good throw. 2 down. That'll bring up Jacob Spring.
Right fielder number 9, Jacob Spring.
Spring tonight, 0 for 3. Reached on an error and a walk, though. First pitch to him, strike 1. 2 outs, bottom 12. Heat and Broncos tied at 3. 0-1 pitch. Low, 1-1. One pitch. Inside. Actually almost hits Jacob. 2-1. Brandon McMillan still pitching for the Wellington Heat. 2-1 pitch to Jacob Spring. Hits the turf, 3-1. Next batter is Trevor Azell, who nearly ended this game back in the 10th inning. Hit one out to the warning track in right field. 3-1 pitch. Swung on down the first base line. It's going to be trouble, and it drops for a base hit. So Jacob Spring on. It is the first Broncos base hit since the 8th inning. Trevor Azell, the left fielder. 1 for 5 tonight. Grounded out to the third baseman. The second baseman struck out and flied out to right, along with a single and a stolen base. Well, we see Jacob Spring run here. First pitch, strike one. It's the outside part of the plate. McMillan steps off the rubber. Now gets set. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 12th inning. Now Trevor Azell will call time, and Paul Richmond's going to go out and talk to Brandon McMillan.
McMillan plays his college ball at Friends University in Wichita. Another one of those KCAC guys. Of course, Wellington started Dan Eck tonight, who lasted just 2 1/3 innings after he took a line drive off the shoulder. He stayed out there, but just didn't have the same stuff. But Dan Eck was from Bethany College.
0-1 pitch to Trevor Azell. Spring running, and he's got it. And it gets past the second baseman. And Spring slides into third. And the Broncos have a runner at third.
So a stolen base for Spring, and then an error on the catcher. So it's a stolen base and an error, which we saw earlier in this game in the first inning. That happened against El Dorado Avery when Daniel Walker stole second and advanced to third on the throwing error and eventually scored on an infield single from Kirk Rocha.
Trevor Azell can end it with one swing. 1-1 pitch to him. Swung on and missed. 1-2.
And getting to third, Avery, now wild pitch, pass ball. I mean, all that's into play, so McMillan's got to be very careful. He can't afford to just bury one into the turf here, even though he's ahead 1-2.
2 outs, bottom 12. Jacob Spring on third. The pitch, high. 2-2. Two-two pitch to Trevor Azell. Swung on and foul.
Looked like a slider or a curveball bearing in on his hands. Trevor got out in front and fought it off and lives to see another pitch here. And the Broncos, again, are just a base hit away from ending the long winning streak to start the season for Wellington.
2-2 pitch to Trevor Azell. Swung on and missed. And the Broncos threaten in the bottom of the 12th, but can't get a run across. We'll head to the 13th. Heat 3, Broncos 3. More El Dorado baseball coming up here from McDonald Stadium. Chase Gulzo throws his final warm-up toss. A.J. Shaw, Paul Richmond, and Aaron Seipel coming up to the plate in this half inning for the Wellington Heat. And for us, here is Kurt Caden to bring you the top of the 13th inning.
I kind of thought with you having the 11th and the 12th, I thought it's probably not going to get back to me. Avery's going to bring us home here.
I wish we could have there. Broncos threatened.
So we enter the top of the 13th inning, and Chase Gulzo is back out for yet another inning. But you can hardly call his last inning, I guess, an official inning, but it goes down that way. He only threw 3 pitches. Got 3 outs on 3 pitches. Chase has been absolutely dominant, maybe the best player on the field, as he enters, what is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is his 5th inning of work, and he has not allowed even the threat of a hit, Avery. I mean, it's been either strikeouts or just weak pops or groundouts. A.J. Shaw leading off. Avery mentioned a long time ago, or we talked about A.J. Shaw, plays at Cowley County Community College, where Avery happens to attend college, and you've seen him play, and you talk about he's a leadoff batter, but here he bats 8th for Wellington. Well, this is the 4th time tonight that he's led off an inning. So,
and if you're Gulzo here, you got to be careful because A.J. Shaw's got speed, and you really don't want him on the bases.
1 ball and a strike and an outside pitch, making it 2-1. A.J. Shaw 0 for 4. Lined out to Nick Schumann. Flew out to left field. A ground ball to second base and a strikeout in the 10th inning. Gulzo with the 2-1 and in there for a swinging strike. Strike 2. "20 in a row have been retired by El Dorado. The last base runner was Rowdy Andrews with a single in the 6th inning. Left-handed batter A.J. Shaw. And he'll call timeout. A.J. says he's going to school at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock next year. Wish him well there after a good career at Cowley College. 2 balls and 2 strikes. None down. We're in the top of the 13th inning. 3-3 our score. And the pitch, and Shaw went fishing, struck out, and he bats his helmet with his bat there. He kind of clunks himself and says, "Why are you swinging at that?" A strikeout for Gulzo and 1 away.
Well, and Kurt, as you said, the last base hit was back in the 6th inning. But how about this number? The Broncos pitching has retired the last 28 of 29 Heat batters. This is a team that comes in undefeated. This isn't a team that struggling right now.
Big props go to, well, Schumann was good, but Quade Adams, Greg Hauser, Chase Gulzo have been just fabulous, and you'd have to put a star by Gulzo.
For sure.
Gets up in front 0-1.
28 of 29, though. That's remarkable.
It really is. That's more than a game. That's more than a 9-inning game and allowing just 1 hit. Gulzo stands tall on the mound. No balls and 1 strike to Paul Richmond. And the pitch curves right on the inside corner. Strike 2. And Richmond was frozen as that ball started at his hip and dropped into the glove of Jonathan Schmitz for a strike 2 call. No balls and 2 strikes. Gulzo to the belt and ready to deal to the right-handed swinging Paul Richmond. And Richmond pounds one to first and bounces over the head of Fields, who took an awkward angle at that ball. And that is the first hit. That ends a streak of 21 in a row retired by El Dorado pitching. And the first hit of the night for Paul Richmond. That'll turn the order over to Aaron Seipel, the center fielder.
Nothing hurt, though, here for Gulzo. You just got to work at Seipel. Only a base hit. So work with Seipel and get out of this inning.
Yeah, I mean, Richmond's a nice athlete, but he's been catching for 12 innings. It's hard to think he's got a lot of spring thinking about a stolen base here against the hard-throwing Chase Gulzo, although he is leaning. And Wellington has liked to run all night. Gulzo delivers to Seipel, and it's a foul ball. Seipel led the game off with a double. He would score. But since that point, 0 for 4. So a total of 1 for 5 tonight for Aaron Seipel as he bats for the 6th time here in the 13th inning. Same two teams will wrap up the homestand for El Dorado on next Wednesday.
If they're not still playing.
If they're not still playing. You know, you got to love, these teams, Wellington, Derby, El Dorado, they play each other a couple more games than you play with Liberal, Hayes, and Dodge City. So now you get into 13 innings. I mean, you already play each team 7 or 8 times. Here's Schmitz firing down. A good throw, but it was on the third base side of second. And Paul Richmond steals it. And from up here, Avery, it looked like the throw was just a few inches off. It was a pretty good throw by Schmitz. But Parker had to reach over towards the shortstop side of second to get it and then swing his arm back and apply the tag.
Like you said, I was surprised to see Richmond running there. Been on his feet all game, down in a crouch, and as the catcher is Chad Gerwick, the Broncos coach, out here arguing, trying to get the umpire's side of what he saw.
So, hard to really get. I mean, he had a good look at it, and like I said, Schmitz's throw was almost perfect, but it was just off. And again, there's a Wellington team that has shown that they like to run, and they have run all night, even on the mighty Chase Goulzo. 1 ball and 1 strike to Aaron Seipel. Richmond down at second base for the Heat. Seipel and David Walker would be next for Wellington. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 away. Goulzo will look at Richmond at second and deals home, and fighting it off is Seipel. Tough play for Hogan. Fires over to first, and he got him out. Advancing to third is Richmond, but that was not an easy play by Max Hogan, but he made it look pretty routine.
That's always tough whenever there's a runner kind of creeping in between second and third, and it's one of those plays as a third baseman, especially late in a late game like this. Do you hold it and try to get that runner that's in between second or third, or do you just go to the play at first? And I think who was that? Max Hogan. He made the correct play.
The only play he could make there, I think. And if you think about it, then Seipel's going to be on at first base, and then you're getting into big trouble. Chase Goulzo has 2 away here, and a ball hit towards Levi Parker at second. He fields it, fires over to first, and they get Walker out. And the Heat is turned away here in the 13th inning. No runs, a hit. No errors. 1 left. We go to the bottom of the 13th inning. Wellington and El Dorado tied up at 3. We'll bring you the bottom of the 13th here in just a moment on YouTube.
Leading off this inning, Broncos fans, number 17, your shortstop out of Northwestern, Antonio Brisket.
Well, welcome back here. Kurt Caden, Avery Osen. 8-9-1 for the Broncos. And Avery, I was just thinking about this as we get through that half inning. If we end up going to the 14th, will we get round 2 of Take Me Out to the Ball Game? We could get a double header if we go into the 14th. We'll see if El Dorado can end it here in the 13th inning. And the first pitch from McMillan is in there for a strike. Frisket, Hogan, and Dylan Muka. And a lot of this, we had just an excellent crowd here tonight. A lot of them are still here. Although it's not it is about, Avery, we've been doing this is like our 8th game here at home. This is about the time when games get about over with, only we've called 4 more innings than usual.
Well, that's what I was thinking earlier. I was checking out to see how many people had left the stands. Not a whole lot, but then I looked at the clock and it's only 10 o'clock because it's in the bottom of the 13th inning. Generally, 3 hours, 3 innings per hour is generally the rule. So this game went pretty quick.
We've gotten like 4 extra innings in somewhere. And Fresquet is caught looking. Kind of a late call. And, the fans, you might be able to hear some of them through our microphone getting a little frustrated at some of the calls. They also could just, they want to beat Wellington. They want to see El Dorado. They want to see their team get the win here and knock off the winning streak. So here's Max Hogan. And he'll look at ball 1. 3-7-2 for Wellington. 3-9-1 for the Broncos. Bottom of the 13th inning. And the pitch hit to first base. Nice play by Piazza. He'll flip it over to McMillan covering first to retire Max Hogan. So we'll turn the order over and Dylan Muka comes up.
And something that might actually hurt the Broncos here later in the batting lineup, the players that have been hurt, that aren't on the team anymore, though you can always throw those guys in, but now without that option.
Thins your options a little bit, I'm sure. For Coach Gerwick, a line drive, snared at second base. Terrific play by Grant Buchanan. Muka hit it solidly, but he is retired. So no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. We're through 13, 3-3. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss the finish of this one. We'll be back with more of it here on YouTube. Welcome back to El Dorado. Avery Chase Gulzo coming into this for the season. He had thrown 6 1/3 innings. He is entering his 6th inning of relief work. And again, there is nobody down in the El Dorado bullpen. This is Gulzo's game, it looks like.
Well, with games, this weekend, I think Chad Gerwick's probably trying to not use too many relievers in this game. And so for Gulzo to come in and pitch as well as he has is really probably been good for Gerwick for his not having to use any other relievers.
And it's just one game. It's still a long season, but this is a team I know El Dorado wants to beat. And he's going to leave his top gun out there. He wants to get this game. He's got 3 big ones with Dodge City over the weekend, but right now this game tonight's the most important. As a fly ball by Piazza out to Jacob Spring in right field, and it is room service fly ball for the first out. 1 away. And here comes Kirk Rocha, the designated hitter. Rocha tonight is 1 for 5. An infield single RBI in the first inning. Ground out to the pitcher, flew out to left, flew out to right, and a ground out to short. And for Rocha, this will be his second at-bat against Chase Gulzo. Gulzo, right-handed pitcher, brings in a pitch that's hit out to center field and unable to make the catch or come up as Dylan Muka. I'm not sure if he got a good read or not. That one hung up there, but Dylan knows his ground out there. He'll let it bounce for a single. and let his man Gulzo go to work on Rowdy Andrews.
Well, and obviously you'd rather have a man on first base compared to second or third, and if Muka dives there and it rolls past him, who knows how far that could go all the way back to the wall, and the Heat probably could have scored a run on that.
Joe Kennedy is just now heading down to the bullpen for the Broncos as we'll get a meeting at the mound. We're in the top of the 14th inning here, folks. What a night from El Dorado. Wellington started off this game with 2 runs in the first inning. A Michael Muka home run in the second made it 2-1, but then Wellington got a leadoff triple from David Walker. He would score on a sac fly. It was 3-1 Wellington. Bottom of the third, the Broncos scratched a run in on an RBI double by Jonathan Schmidt, scoring Dylan Muka. That made it 3-2 after 3. And then the hitting was put into the deep freeze by both pitching staffs. A 1-out single here for Kirk Rocha. And Gulzo will throw over to first. And Avery, you've mentioned this before. You got to be careful on those throws to first because any bad throw to first is going to be a 2-base error.
Yep. A lot of room to the first base foul fence, I should say.
See, yeah, and another check over at first. But you can't, unless you really want to gamble, you can't really come with your best move and your hardest throw over to first base. It's got to be more of just checking the runner, making him go back. Getting a good lead over there is Kirk Rocha. And the pitch squaring to bunt was Rowdy Andrews, and that pitch came not too far off the inside corner, but when you're squared around over the plate there, and then you got to do a little bend back like that, that can rearrange the lower back or so, make it twinge a bit. Rowdy Andrews, shortstop for the Heat. Gulzo with a long look in, and here's the pitch outside. 2 balls and no strikes. Andrews squaring around. Wellington had a situation similar to this against Derby, and they elected to go for a steal instead of bunting, and eventually they beat Derby 2-1 in walk-off fashion. But it was the same situation, runner on first with 1 out, and they had a meeting of the minds. Do we want to bunt him over or steal him over? Well, they're trying to bunt him over here. Andrews squares. That looked pretty good, but it was called high, ball 3. So now Gulzo's got to bear down Avery 3 balls and no strikes. Andrews is pretty much trying to give them an out. But the Broncos are not taking advantage of that with 3 balls from Chase Gulzo, and this is probably the first 3-ball count we've seen from Chase. Remember, he had a 3-pitch inning back in the 12th inning. The 3-0. Gulzo, that's in there for a strike. 3 balls and a strike to Rowdy Andrews. Wonder if Rowdy's a real name or is that a play name? He's from Eckerd College. Three balls and a strike, and on the run, it's going to be ball 4, so it doesn't matter. And a great job by Levi Parker to make sure that ball didn't get in the outfield. So a 5-pitch walk to Andrews, and that'll send Grant Buchanan as the big man right here now for Wellington. Runners at first and second. There is 1 out. One thing, we've seen a lot of things tonight, we haven't seen the double play. Of course, for so many innings, Wellington was going 3 and out or 4 and out. Chase Gulzo, if he could induce a double play here, that would benefit the Broncos quite a bit. It's been a good double play team as El Dorado this year.
Want to pitch a ball low in the strike zone. Try to induce that double play.
And running over to third. No, Schmitz goes down to second instead, and the ball gets away from Parker. He's got the ball back. A terrific jump to third by Rocha. Well behind Rocha was Rowdy Andrews. And then a good collision down at second as Andrews slid in and Parker was trying to apply the tag. The ball got away and Rocha just didn't pick it up quick enough. And then when he did, he took a couple steps while Parker recovered by then. So now, decision time for El Dorado. They're going to bring the infield in You either need a strikeout here, or they're gonna intentionally walk Grant Buchanan. Well, this game all of a sudden has the feel of like a playoff game, Avery. These teams, you're seeing the intentional walks and some matchups, whatnot. These teams are really going at it. Both teams wanting this game desperately.
Well, yeah, this is a confidence game, especially for the Broncos standpoint. Coming in 3-7 in league, struggling this last week or so, to come in, start a homestand by breaking the streak of the Wellington Heat would be a huge confidence builder for the Broncos, and they're really going to have to get out of a jam here. Bases loaded, 1 out for Luke Doyle.
Luke Doyle came on as a pinch hitter back in the 9th inning, struck out, then he popped out to short in the 12th. El Dorado right now has the corners in. They're playing Fresquet and Parker back, but now Fresquet and Parker move up. So now they're not even going to go for them in the diamond double play. They want to go home no matter what here and try to cut down the lead runner, which is Kirk Rocha. Bases loaded, 1 out, and Doyle hits one out to right field. That's going to be plenty deep for Rocha. Spring makes the catch, fires it to second base, and a sacrifice fly by Luke Doyle off of Chase Gulzo gives the Heat the lead at 4-3. That's all Doyle needed there, Avery. And Gulzo wanted to keep it low with a good job there by Doyle, and he put a good swing on it, and just too deep. Jacob Spring had no chance to get anyone out, and a good throw to second base kept the runners at first and third.
Yeah, I was hoping to see the ball thrown a little lower just to give the infield a chance, but that ball, well struck, scores a run.
Here's A.J. Shaw, 4-3 Wellington, as we've had our first run from either side since all the way back in the 3rd inning. Did I mention we're in the 14th? 4-3 Wellington. Gulzo ahead 0-1 and the ball high. 1 ball and 1 strike. In case you're wondering, El Dorado, I should say, will send Parker, Schmitz, and Fields to the plate in the bottom half of the 14th inning.
The Heat looking for some insurance here, trying to extend their 1-run lead.
Gulzo, and blows one past A.J. Shaw. That is the first run allowed by Chase Gulzo in nearly 12 innings this season, Avery. He's been pretty good.
Pretty good. Unfortunately, he'll probably say this is about the worst time to give one up.
Yeah. 1 ball, 2 strikes to A.J. Shaw. And the runner goes. Shaw swings and misses. It's been a rough night for A.J. And Gulzo, very good. And Shaw, for the 3rd time against Gulzo, strikes out swinging. But 1 run on 1 hit. No errors and 2 men left on, and it's 4-3 in favor of Wellington. And Avery, let's just go back to this 14th inning. It started with Piazza flying out to right field, but then Kirk Rocha with the single. And again, it looked like a ball. I just didn't think Dylan Muka got a really good jump on it. And it kind of hung there, but he played it. He went the safe route. But then you get, Wellington, when they've had guys on base, which hasn't been a ton tonight, but when they've been on base, they have been running, and they've been running very successfully.
Yeah, they have. They're a running team, and they show good baseball IQ on the paths, and they got a run, which is what they wanted in the top of the 14th, and now to extend this game or even win this game, the Broncos have to get a run.
Nick Schumann went 4 innings starting for El Dorado tonight. Quade Adams went 2 innings. Greg Hauser went 2 innings. Chase Gulzo has gone 6 innings. So it's 2-3-4 for El Dorado. They trail 4-3. They trailed much of this game. Finally got it tied when they scratched across a run in the 8th inning. And had a chance to put more on the board. Just couldn't get that timely hit in the 8th. Haven't had much opportunity here in the extra frames. Levi Parker leading it off, and he'll look at ball 1. Levi from right here in El Dorado, 5'8", 160, plays his college ball at Emporia State University. And it's ball 2. And Avery is, as we know, so important to get a leadoff guy on if you want to try to make some kind of comeback, whether it's a 3-run, 4-run, or 1-run deficit. That leadoff guy, especially in extras, is so huge.
Yeah, and that can even distract the pitcher a little bit and maybe give an easier pitch to Schmitz or Fields.
Serving one in there is McMillan, the Friends University product, for strike 1. 2 balls and 1 strike.
See some of the kids in the crowd putting on their rally caps here in the bottom of the 14th.
Whatever you can do.
Staying up a little past their bedtime tonight.
Parker squares around, but not offering, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike.
So a big pitch here. 3-1 count. Levi Parker's really got to be looking for his pitch, but don't be too greedy.
And the pitch from McMillan looked low, and it is. He didn't like it. I don't think he liked it off his hand, and Richmond wants a new ball. It is a muggy evening. It's hot, and it's kind of humid here as well. I know there was a high dew point earlier tonight, so that ball might have stuck a little much on his hand. I'm not sure.
Like you said, it was supposed to kind of, the last couple of days, the forecast has been rain here for tonight's game. But it has been a beautiful night here at McDonald Stadium. Fans still sitting out here enjoying the nice weather, even at 10:30 p.m. at night. Big hole between first and second for Jonathan Schmitz if he can poke one opposite field.
Of course, his power is to left. He squares around to bunt, and Schmitz lets it go on by for a ball, and there's Richmond. We've seen Richmond pick off a runner already tonight on a failed bunt attempt. That was Jacob Spring that he got. It's so hard as a runner. You want to get a good jump so you can get to second base, but if you get too good of a jump and the bunt isn't executed, you are a sitting duck down there at first base. Jonathan Schmitz, the power-hitting number 4 man here, or number 3 batter for the Broncos, squaring around again. And running is Parker. Richmond fires down to second, and safe is Levi Parker. So, 2 balls and no strikes for Schmitz, and Parker with a stolen base down to second.
I want to know if that was a steal by the coach or a steal by Levi Parker.
I'm going to say that was by design, I think, don't you?
I don't know. Whoever thought it was a good one. And now, instead of Schmitz having to lay down a bunt and sacrifice an out, instead he gets to swing away, and not only swing away, but at 2-0, look for his pitch.
Tying run down at second, and a curveball in for strike 1. Aaron Seipel plays on he's the center fielder. He is leaning towards the third, towards left center field. So right center field gap is there. Of course, Parker is drawing attention from the second baseman, Buchanan, so there's a hole between first and third. And now Schmitz squares, pulls it back. It's a ball, 3-1.
And I think obviously whenever a batter pulls out their bat to bunt, kind of limits what the pitcher can throw. And I think it really puts the pressure on him. And I think Schmitz, more than anything, I think it's more of a threat of a bunt than an actual bunt itself. So 3-1, he's going to do it again.
Squares around, 3-1, and McMillan throws a ball. 2 straight walks to start off the bottom of the 14th inning, and that will draw a little talk from the manager. There's no one down in the Wellington bullpen, so it is McMillan against the Broncos here in the 14th, but the winning run is down to first base, and now the Bronco coaching staff are going to talk as well. Boy, lots of strategy here, Avery, in this game. You would think this was a one of those one-and-done kind of games.
I'm sure this is how it was last year at the NBC tournament when these two teams met up.
Avery and I are back on the air tomorrow night. Dodge City. The A's are in town to start the first of a 3-game series against the El Dorado Broncos. And then our good friend Adam Borth will be handling the play-by-play duties on Saturday and on Sunday. Links will be posted. We'll try to get them on the Facebook page as Avery and I are going to be out of town. But then Avery and I will be back on Tuesday night when Boulder is in here for a non-league game. And then Wellington comes back here on Wednesday night before the Broncos then go back out on the road themselves. So here's Zach Fields. And he squares around to bunt. McMillan fires in a strike. And I would imagine Zach Fields, just looking at his physique, has not been asked to sacrifice bunt all too many times. He looked a little uncomfortable there. No balls and a strike to big old Zach Fields from Central Michigan University. Schmitz at first base. I'd say average speed, and Parker down at second base with much better than average speed. Fields ready for the 0-1. And it's a curveball, and he missed it. Popped it up here in foul territory, and falling down and making the catch is Luke Doyle, who is all of a sudden really turned into a key player here tonight. He had the sacrifice fly in the 14th inning to give Wellington the lead. There in a foul ball down the third base side. He and Richmond had to look at each other when Doyle figured out it was his ball to take. He was a little out of position, had to fall backwards, but made a nice catch and gets the first out.
That night to forget for Zach Fields tonight, 0 for 5 in this one.
And there's a chance you got to hit something on the right side. You don't want to stay away from a double play, but you somehow got to get that runner over to third base. But he's still in scoring position with one away. And Michael Muka to the plate. Ever since Michael homered in the second inning, he hasn't done much. Strikeout, fly out, ground out, ground out, ground out. 4-3 Wellington, bottom of the 14th inning. Runners at first and second for the Broncos. Heat in the lead. And McMillan is low, and now Muka in the driver's seat, 2-0. Michael, left-handed batting player from Aurora, Colorado, plays his college ball at Wichita State University. Michael Muka, homered way back in the second inning. McMillan, the pitch, and it's in there for a strike. So you got Muka Avery, who plays at Wichita State, McMillan pitching to him, who plays just a little ways down the road at Friends University.
Wichita versus Wichita battle.
2 balls and a strike. Muka still in the lead here, and he slices one into the El Dorado bullpen. Jonathan Schmitz trying to do his best sprinter impersonation over there, as was hoping maybe that would land fair, and he could bring home the winning run. Of course, there's another catcher he's caught 14 innings tonight, Avery, but he's got some spring in his legs. You'd imagine we might see Cameron Knight tomorrow night behind the plate for El Dorado.
Where the adrenaline kicks in, he'll probably feel it maybe tomorrow morning.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. Muka fouls it straight back at us. Brandon McMillan wheeling and dealing here for the Wellington Heat. The Heat led 3-1 after 2.5 innings. We were tied for a long ways. The Heat have taken a lead here in the top half of the 14th inning. We're in the bottom half now. 4-3 Wellington. And Muka just in front of that ball and fouled it as it was gloved by Tony Piazza. That was a good pitch to swing at there for Michael Muka. Jacob Spring waits on deck for the Broncos. Avery, if there's an inning to look back at, though, here for the Broncos, it was that 8th inning when they had the sacks loaded with just 1 out. They were only able to get the 1 run, which scored on a pass ball, of all things. But they had a chance for a pretty big inning. The 2-2 to Muka is high. 3-2 with 1 out. Now, here, obviously, the runners aren't running on the 3-2 pitch because there's only 1 out. I would be surprised with a left-handed batter to see Levi Parker running on this pitch. And McMillan will check him up over there at second base, and Parker trots back. Parker led off the inning with a walk. Schmitz also walked. Fields popped out to third. Michael Muka with a 3-2 count. Runners at first and second. They're not going. Muka fouls it off. Risky, Avery. If you had a right-handed batter, maybe, but there's no one to bother Paul Richmond. As he's shown a pretty good arm. He has a clear path to throw to third if Parker decided to steal here. And you'd hate to run yourself out of the game. Here's the 3-2, and late call for strike 3. So instead of bases loaded, and I think what's got Coach Gerwick so up in arms, Avery, is that it was not an immediate call. So there's 2 down as Coach Gerwick gets his say in. So 2 down. And the umpire giving Coach Gerwick a lot of chain here, Avery. And sometimes if that's the case, you wonder if maybe he thinks maybe he might be in the wrong. Because, you know, an umpire who thinks he's in the right there is probably going to say, Coach, this is it. He's giving him a lot of room. So there's 2 down. Paul Richmond wisely goes out and discusses things with Brandon McMillan. So there's 2 down, and Jacob Spring, all still not lost here, Avery. For the Broncos, they're still just that key hit away from tying and maybe even winning this game.
Yeah, Jacob Spring has a chance to really make the Broncos forget about that pitch, possibly.
And the first pitch is a strike to Jacob Spring. No balls and 1 strike. 2 away in the bottom of the 14th. McMillan wheels and deals, and Spring taps it towards third. It'll be fielded in foul territory by Luke Doyle. And all of a sudden the Heat are just a strike away from, I can't remember what it is exactly. I don't know if it was 16-0 coming in for Wellington. I know they're 9-0 in league play. I think it's somewhere around that, and I apologize for not. I had that information. I left it, I think, somewhere. But they are undefeated, and they've played double-digit games. No balls and 2 strikes, and a fastball off the outside corner. And the count says 4 balls and 4 strikes. Let's see, 1 ball and 2 strikes, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? 1 and 2. All right. McMillan dealing to Jacob Spring. And it's a strikeout, and the winning streak continues for Wellington. Final score is Wellington 4, as they score 4 runs on 7 hits, 2 errors to El Dorado's 3 runs, 9 hits, and 1 error. A 14-inning affair. The winning pitcher, Brandon McMillan. The losing pitcher, certainly hard luck, Chase Gulzo. But there are a couple ways to look at this thing. First off, a tremendous pitching effort tonight from so many El Dorado Broncos. Certainly nothing to be ashamed of. But the sting of losing to this very good Wellington team for the second time this week, 4-3, is painful.
Yeah, you just hate to see a game end that way. The Broncos, instead of first and second, 2 outs, so it had been bases loaded, 1 out. But you say that on one hand, but on the other, Broncos had their opportunities in the 8th inning. They had bases loaded. Could have had some chances there. But hard luck lost tonight, and the Broncos will be back at it. That's the beauty about baseball. Is tomorrow night they're back at it for a 3-game series with the Dodge City A's.
Yep, the chances were there. The 8th inning, and then certainly there in the 14th when you get the first 2 guys on via the walk. The Zach Fields at bat was key, and the strikeout to Colin Muka. You know what? That's a tough one. It could have gone either way, and it went against the Broncos tonight. The time of tonight's game, 3 hours and 36 minutes. Wellington wins in 14 innings by a final score of 4-3. Avery and I are back on the air tomorrow night. Hope you'll join us here at the ballpark. If not, we've got all the action right here on YouTube. Join us about 6:55 tomorrow night. Dodge City at El Dorado on Friday night. So for Avery Osen, Kurt Caden bidding you good night from McDonald Stadium.